your hands to yourself.
All right, good afternoon. I hope everyone can hear me. If you can't hear me, I am talking, and you might want to get your sound checked or reach out through the Q&A feature that is part of this Zoom webinar. So we're really excited that you're here, but let me start by just saying good afternoon. My name is Gwen Cadwalader, and I am the training manager for GBAS. And I work in UFHR, for those of you that are new to GBAS, within training and organizational development. Now, I know we're gonna have more people joining us over that probably the next 5 minutes. So we'll just kind of start with a little bit of an introduction here. So I'm really excited that we've had this opportunity to bring you together and talk about teams. It has been something that is a passion of mine, and I really enjoy working in this tool. One of the things I love so much about it is that every single day when I'm in it, I learn something new, I find something new. But it's been an awesome way to stay connected with my colleagues, coworkers, and friends in this time of transition. But before I go any further, I would like to introduce our GBAS director, Barb Matola, and I believe she's going to say a few words.
Hello out there. This is the first time I've been online with like more than 3 people or something. Well, not counting. Anyway, hello. I'd like to thank you all for being here. It's a crazy new world we're in, a lot of different things, a lot of pivots that we've all had to make. And by being here today, I think we're all kind of leaning into that. And I think that's brave and wonderful, and thanking everybody for that. There are a few things that are really pretty much the same in a lot of ways, which is comforting. I think there's one reality that we kind of all lived. Oh, sorry, I was looking at a chat. Okay, so this is part of online virtual learning that we kind of all already lived in our professional world and in online existence, right? Like emails, e-paths, purchasing, all the things that we do online. The wonderful thing I think about the tool, and I love it as well, that you guys get to explore this afternoon, is that it's not an added piece of something you have to do. It is actually a tool that will help make your life easier in managing an online existence we've already been living, right? I love it because it puts everything in one place. It has made my life easier. I started implementing it in our college. We started over the summer, and I'm going to share 2 brief ways that it's made it so much easier to work in the virtual world, the online world we already live in. So first, one of my roles as the College of the Arts director is to help search committees and hiring authorities navigate their way through searches, faculty search processes, which have a lot of steps and a lot of processes. So that meant and last year I was doing this for like 20 searches. So that meant I was sending a ton of emails with a ton of attachments to them at different stages. Each search is at a different stage at a different time. And I have to remember that even though I sent them the original step-by-step email that tells you exactly what to do at every step, they're not ready for that. They can't take all that information in. So I would calendar keeping track of every search and where it is to remind myself to send them the next set of steps. right? They might miss it. So then they email me. And if I miss sending it to them, then they say, hey, then they don't have the steps anymore because they lost that email. Not anymore, not with Teams. So I moved that all onto Teams, and now I send them one, and if I want to, more emails to say, hey, go here. This is your search support center. And it is organized for them by search stage so that each files they can go in. Are you evaluating employees at this point? Go here. Are you now getting ready for campus interviews? Go here. So that they are never without the support. And that, I mean, I'm sure, I'm hoping you guys are relating to what I'm saying, because the level of keeping track of folks and emailing that stuff and then updating the attachments that I have in the email, no more, it's done. Like, it's in one space. So that's a place where it's been easier for me. The other place is kind of now, it came up now. So we started doing this in the summer. And so by the time we sort of rolled this out, by the time COVID came around, about 60 to 70% of our college employees had been exposed in some way or another to Teams. So when we had that first meeting of, okay, we're going to have to figure out how to go online and fast organizationally, it was immediately create a College of the Arts COVID planning team and invite everybody, even who had not experienced Teams yet in our whole college. Again, it's that one place that we knew, we didn't know what was going to happen after that, but we knew we would have a single place to go to. And it helped people feel so secure in knowing that even if they couldn't get on VPN or, to get to their O Drive, somebody, they could post, hey, will you upload this to Teams? Because I can reach it no matter where I am. So that's been amazing for me. I'm thrilled that you're here to learn about this. I want to thank Dwayne and Joe, who are doing amazing things in IFAS with Teams, and we're gracious enough, even in this time where IT folks are precious commodity, our lifeblood, to do this for GBAS. Gwen, of course, and Emily and her, what I am now calling her magical, mystical interns, Janelle, Nikki, Rachel, and a ton more behind the scenes. And especially, I'll just end with thanking Bob Parks, Jody Gentry, and Mike McKee as our GBAS sponsors and folks who saw a great idea of pivoting GBAS online and allowed us the space for this team right here to do all that. So thank you for being here, and I'll let everybody get to work.
All right. So thank you, Barb. I also want to echo her thanks. This is a huge task that we're undertaking, and guys, so I'm getting choked up here. But I don't think when Dwayne and Joe agreed to do this with us, that they realized we'd be doing it in the middle of a global pandemic. So I asked them yesterday, I was like, are you sorry you agreed to help us with this? And they, of course, said no, but I'm not really sure that's what they meant. So anyway, we really appreciate it. I also wanted to mention that another one of their team, Philip, is joining us. He's sort of running our tech support in case anyone is having any technical difficulties. So we're all kind of in here together to support you. Also, the Controller's Office with Emily, Rachel, Janelle, and Nikki will be sharing some of their expertise. They've also been working in Teams for a while, so we wanted to bring you some real life examples. So I really appreciate them stepping up and helping with this project as well. So we had 435 people register for this training, which is amazing, right? It is by far the largest training any of us have done. I think the largest training I personally have ever done is about 350 people in person. So the idea of how to support so many of you online was like, wow, how exactly are we going to do this? So just to let you know, there are only a few of us, and we are each managing about 80 people So when we go into the activities, you'll have to help us with some of the responses. We'll go as fast as we can, but there's 80 of you and one of us. So we hope that you will extend our normal GBAS kindness and cooperation, which is one of the things that we've really come to love about the GBAS community. Click. That's my code word for Dwayne to change the slide, because actually go back one. Yep, thank you. Because we are social distancing. We are not in the same place. So today I'm really going to ask you for kindness and grace. We may encounter some challenges. Things may go wonky on us, and we will problem solve, and you'll probably problem solve right along with us. We're all learning together. We all learned last night that when you cross post into 20 channels, a lot of people got a lot of notifications. So we just laugh and learn and keep going. So, we have all kinds of learners in here today. We have some people that have never been in Teams ever, and we have some teams that have been in here about a year. I'm pretty sure each and every one of you will learn things today, and this won't be the only time that you'll receive support. We'll leave up this training team. We'll try to put some resources in here for you going forward. So you'll also know that this is not our typical GBAS event, and you may notice some differences today. And part of that is because GBAS decided to be very agile as we pivoted away from the Institute due to our current situation. So remember, we also are learning right along beside you. However, I find that this platform is more important to us than ever. So we really wanted to provide this training as fast as possible, knowing that people are struggling to figure out how to work in this new remote environment. Personally, it was a lifesaver for me when we first went home. I actually couldn't access my computer. And so I did exactly what Barb was talking about. I just got people to upload files for me into Teams, and I was able to keep working in a real effective way. Now, I'd also want to share with you one of my challenges for today, which is as a trainer, I'm used to seeing you, and I would see you nod or frown or know if I'm communicating. I can't see any of that. I can't even see your names to know that you're in here or give you a shout out. So it feels a little bit odd for me. So that Q&A box where you guys were posting questions and comments on the music is kind of a lifeline for us. So if at any point we kind of get off kilter, if you'll let us know, we're monitoring that. That would be hugely helpful for us, because that literally is the only feedback that we're going to get. I did ask Emily and Rachel and all of them to laugh at my jokes so that I'd at least have some feedback. So again, due to the large size, you only get to chat with the panelist. So that just helps us manage both the bandwidth and then making sure that we get all of the questions answered.
Gwen, you're getting a lot of, you're doing great, Gwen, in the chat. So I'm going to pass that on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. It is really odd sitting in your living room talking to yourself, because that's what it feels like, right? So in addition to that, I just want to take a minute and say that I hope you're also being kind to yourself. Many of you have kids running around behind you, around you. You're working full-time in your house. You're trying to juggle childcare, maybe homeschooling with your spouse or partner. So I hope you give yourself the grace and the time to figure that out as well. So I really want us to focus today on how can we use these tools to communicate, to connect with each other, and the people that are important in our lives. So I hope you're also, you know me and nature. I have to put some nature pictures in all of our presentations. I hope you're getting outside and enjoying the beautiful weather. I personally find nature to be very healing. So maybe you can find whatever space is healing for you. So a little bit of housekeeping before I dive in. In order to take attendance today, you signed into Zoom, and we will be using that sign in to give you credit, providing that everything goes well. So I'll let you know if it doesn't. And on our agenda today, we're going to start with a few tips for working remotely. I'll take you through some strategies there. And then we're going to do an overview of Teams and really focus quite a bit when I go back to that communication piece of the chat feature. Now, some of you are going to dive in and use these tools fully, and that's awesome. And others of you are not ready to do that. So my hope is that if you do just one thing, I would encourage you to deeply explore the chat feature as a way to stay connected with your coworkers. It is an awesome way to communicate, and Joe and Dwayne will take you through some of those features and show you how to use that really effectively, and we'll also practice inside Teams. Then we're going to talk about how to make a team, all the cool things that you can do with the team. We'll end with some collaboration tools, a way to work to collaborate with each other in these remote spaces. And we'll do a little teaser on one of my favorite tools, which is Planner. We don't have time to do a deep dive on everything today, but we hope that we'll leave you with wanting more, and that we'll provide more of these training opportunities on these tools moving forward. Sound good? I hope you're nodding. All right, so click. We're going to talk about routines. So one of the most important things that you can do when working remotely is to set up a regular routine. So one of my coworkers said to me just recently, she said, wow, this is the most challenging time in my whole career. She says, I don't know if I should be cleaning the toilet or homeschooling my kids or doing my work. She said, I just can't figure it out. So I think many of us feel that way as we start to figure out how do we navigate this new environment. So as humans, we're really creatures of habit, and it's going to take us a little while to make some new habits. So we'll be doing that over the next few weeks. If you have never worked remotely before, I recommend that you put a fairly strict schedule together for yourself in the beginning. I think you'll find some parameters really helpful. And why these structures are really important is because all of your life is really turned upside down right now. Anything that you used to do, like going to the gym or dropping the kids off at school, none of that is happening. And usually we like to have some routines in multiple parts of our life. So an example of a stricter schedule is to think about small windows, like when am I going to do my email? I'm going to take a half an hour to do that, and then I'm going to block a little bit of time for some urgent tasks before I have to like make lunch for the kids, right? And any place you could stack your habits, like getting your coffee. So I get my coffee and then I take about 15 minutes to answer all my urgent emails, and then I go take a shower. So this idea of stacking them so that you start to have a rhythm in your life can be really helpful. The structure will help you build good habits, but remember, your schedule is going to go awry. It's not going to work out as you plan, and that's really going to be okay. What I've noticed is that everything takes longer. Everything that I do in this environment just takes a little bit longer. But I also encourage you to set regular hours for yourself. It is easy when your computer is there and you know you have work piling up to spend a significant amount of time working than you might if you left the office. So we want to try to work on that healthy work-life balance because our families need us as well. Right, click. So it's important to set up a designated office space if possible, right? And bed is probably not the best place to work, just saying. So you'll see I'm in my living room, and since my kids are grown, and although one of them is here, but my kids are mostly grown and can be quiet, I really can work anywhere in my house, which I love. So I can move between the different spaces, I can stand up, I can sit, I can lay on the floor. But for people like Emily, who's got 3 little kids at home, that's really not going to work that well for her. I'm pretty sure if she gets to laying on the floor, her kids are going to be jumping on top of her. So pick a place, yeah, right. Pick a place that really works for you, and click. I really recommend that you put pants on, right? While that's meant to be fun, I really recommend that you put pants on. We do a lot of Zoom calls, so that'd be one reason why. But the other reason is it's helpful to actually feel like you're at work, right? So a couple days I've put real work clothes on, and I find that I can be a little bit more productive like that. So although I have never done a training in slippers before, don't tell Jody Gentry, but this is my first training I've ever done in slippers. So I also wanted to share a joke that I saw that I just thought was really funny in our times. And the joke suggested that maybe instead of your sweatpants, you want to wear a bikini, which might help with refrigerator distancing. Get it? Social distancing. All right. Anyway, moving on. Next slide. Also, think about your relationship with your family. You're now doing everything with your family, all in the house, all at the same time, all forever. None of us are going anywhere. So you probably don't want to make your kids and your spouse partner your new coworkers. I don't know that they'd really appreciate that. Click. All right, so it's also important to do a little bit of self-care, and you've probably been seeing a lot of emails about this. There's a lot of stuff out there if you want to dive deeper into this, but just a few common rules that I think are hugely important. And one is to take a break every few hours. I tend to just get head down myself, and it is helpful in stressful times to stop every couple hours. I like to go outside and walk, maybe your yard, a green space if possible, get a little sunshine. We also notice that we don't drink as much water or fluids when we're working at home for whatever reason. So, take some time, get some water, stretch. And then I really want to recommend that you do some planned breathing exercises. And I know this is not the normal things that I talk to you about, but breathing exercises can really help with the anxiety. And I think all of us are experiencing some level of anxiety and uncertainty. So it can be as simple as just breathing out twice as long as you breathe in. So just kind of being aware. It's helpful to count. If your mind is really busy, you can count the breath out and then the breath in. Just being aware of your breath can help reduce the amount of anxiety that you're feeling. We do have a mindfulness group on campus, and they're offering sessions on Mondays, and I attended last week. I thought it was super helpful. So if you're feeling particularly anxious and think that would be helpful for you, I hope that you will tap into those resources as well. The other part of taking a break is making sure you set your chore list aside, right? So trying to multitask between your laundry, the work, the kids, the dishes can just be a really frustrating experience and leaving you feel like you're not doing anything well. So it goes back to that routine. Maybe you want to pick some times where you're doing each one of those tasks. I also highly recommend that you take a break from the TV news. It can be a little bit depressing and overwhelming to have that coming into your space over and over again, and find some things that bring you joy. For me, I like to take pictures of nature, post them on Instagram. That brings me joy. So I hope you find whatever works for you. Next. So setting daily goals. This might look a little bit different working remotely. We know that remote employees can get off track and fall down rabbit holes really fast because you're just kind of living in your own world. So try to think about what kind of goals you might want. Start with some small goals, especially in the beginning as you're kind of getting your routine down. Or pick a series of small goals, some things that you could bang out relatively quickly, and then start working towards some of those larger projects. In a goal-first approach, which is essential for remote workers, it's helpful to create your to-do list at the end of the day. One of the hardest pieces about remote working is kind of like getting going in the morning because you don't leave the house. So if you already know the first task that you're going to work on, that can help you start your rhythm and get your day going well. It's also great to think about what time of day you're the most productive. So I'm a morning person, as all of the interns and people on the panelists know. I will send messages at 5 in the morning because I have a lot of brain power at 5 in the morning. So try to pick the time that really works for you and put your heavy hitting projects in that time. And then the times where you're feeling a little more dead, you know, do some tasks that take a little bit less brain power. All right, next slide. So I'm really excited about this, but I want to reiterate that really my goal for this session is less about the technical training in Teams, even though it's going to be amazing and you're going to learn a lot, but to really keep in the back of your mind, how can we move through this space and time, communicating and connecting better with the people that we work with and the people that we care about. Because we know that there's a big risk for people to feel isolated and disconnected during this time. Click. So some strategies that I use is I keep Teams open. I just sort of put it in the background. They will show you how to mute it if you don't like the noise. But I keep it there so I can stay connected. So this helps me socially. I also use my phone and group chat. So we're also using this as one of our tools today. So you'll see us looking at our phones as a way to communicate with each other. And then the video calls within both Teams, you can do video calls in Teams or with Zoom, can also be super helpful in helping you stay connected. It's nice to see a face when you're talking about a project. And these can be quick, easy working meetings where you're actually talking about a project. We're also going to share some of those collaborative tools. And I feel like I am super connected now. And a lot of it has to do with how that we're doing the work through Teams. So are there any big questions in chat before I turn it over?
A lot of people would like copies of these suggestions that you just provided. They said they're very helpful, so if we could send it out afterwards, that would be wonderful.
All right, we will do that. So without any further ado, let me please welcome Joe and Dwayne for their first and hopefully not their last GBAS event. And I'm sure everybody out there is clapping for them. All right.
Thank you, Gwen.
Thanks, Gwen.
Appreciate it. I'm Dwayne. I'm a IFAS IT computer nerd, right?
I'm on his team. We're both been doing this work for a while now, so we're glad to bring it to more parts of the campus.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. We do not regret it.
Let's see 5 o'clock.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to jump into to the next section. So moving through our agenda, completed working remotely. And now we're going to take you on a tour of Teams itself and give you some orientation about what is Teams, where did it come from, and what does it look like, and what do all the buttons inside of it do. But before we get there, I was looking, kind of creeping on the GBAS website and looking through some of the documentation and ran across the GBAS mission statement and vision statement. And I thought it was interesting because as I read through it, both of them, you know, both have pieces that we feel directly relates to the tool that we're about to show you, the platform that you're about to learn about. Being efficient and effective and working collaboratively are basically the roots of this tool. So I thought that was pretty cool that that was already there. And so I think this is going to be a way to really kind of surface those pieces of the mission and vision statement. Teams is not a new thing. So Teams, even if you are just now seeing it here at the university, Teams has been out for 3 years. So don't worry, this is not a new tool that we're asking you to try. It's not a beta test and we're going to see how it goes. This is a proven platform that's been widely used by business professionals like yourself outside of education.
I mean, it's a Fortune 500 companies are using this. The 93% of the Fortune 100 are using it. I think if we were to look at UF, we might be in the Fortune 600 range. So it's definitely something that's used at a large business. It's got a purpose. You know, a company chooses this strategically. They don't just choose these kind of tools because it's a fad. it's going to have some type of valuable impact because they're paying for it. They want some way for this to affect the way that they work and do their business. I think we're seeing that for our deployment we've done through IFAS. We're seeing that impact, and we hope to show you why.
So we call this the shift. So we'll have a little bit of wordplay with that. But this is the shift that's happening right now throughout not just education, but like Joe said, throughout the entire business world. You know, there's 650 organizations that have more than 10,000 users using Teams, and 44 million people a day are logging in. And I am happy to say that the University of Florida is one of those 650 organizations with more than 10,000 active users. This is a usage metric chart of Teams at the university specifically. So we have nearly 13,000 people a month logging in and using Teams. And I bet you can look at this chart and figure out where the pandemic started. So had a little bit of a jump at the tail end there, but it was a healthy climb for the last, you know, I don't know, six months or so since we started rolling this out. So this is good news for you, because if you're not familiar with Teams yet, this means that there's chances are one of your peers or colleagues are. So this kind of makes it to where we're all speaking the same language. So when you have that project or that task that you want to do, and you say, hey, I think we should make a team for it, there's a very, very high chance that whoever it is you're talking to will already know what you're talking about. So now you've removed one of those pieces that you have to, you know, explain what it is and what it does. You know, we're all on the same page. And one of my favorite parts about this is, unlike those Fortune 100 companies that Joe referenced, as an academic institution, this is free. So we have a huge benefit to be able to use all of these tools that we're going to show you free of charge. So it is a fiscally responsible thing to do, to look at tools like this. There are a lot of pieces and parts that bolt onto Teams that we'll show you later that are included in this suite of tools. And so we just think that's a great benefit to have that luxury to be able to use these tools that those other businesses have to pay for. It's also safe. So Microsoft operates data centers all over the world. And so when you put your data in the quote unquote, the cloud, it's actually going to live in a data center that's operated by Microsoft. So they are literally providing a planetary level of data. It's pretty amazing. So we've seen their data centers, and as nerds, you know, we geek out pretty hardcore over these things, because they're, you know, I measured one on Google Earth. I found it online in Virginia, and I measured it from one end to the other, and it was nearly 1.5 miles across of just buildings filled with servers. Is very, very, you know, to us, very impressive. I thought it was super cool.
Better than we could do.
I want to go on a tour for sure. But what does that get you? You know, okay, well, that's great. We've got servers all over the planet. What does that mean for me? Well, it's, for those of you who are working with research, it actually means a lot. Because when you put your data inside of Teams, SharePoint, and OneDrive, that data actually gets replicated to another data center in the United States. And if you look at the graph here, or the chart here rather, there's really only two options, East Coast and West Coast. So your data that lives inside of Teams actually becomes what we call geo-redundant. And this is amazing. This is something the IFAS IT budget cannot provide our users, but with Teams we can. So we're pretty excited about this level of resiliency that we get with our data when we put it in these products.
Hey, Dwayne and Joe, we actually have a question, and I think it's a good one that really applies at this time. Someone would like to know, is this FERPA compliant and approved, those data centers?
Yes.
Yes, the tool is FERPA approved.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt, but I felt like it was
No, that's perfect. Feel free.
Okay.
So this tool, you know, unlike Microsoft of the old days where it was, you know, if you want to use our software, it works better on our devices. You know, that's a thing of the past. So this really works on any device. And the best part about that, being that your data is in the cloud, is not only does it work from any device, it will work from any place. So You can pull out your Windows laptop, your Mac, your Linux box. You can fire up your iPhone, your Android, iPad, and you can even use it just strictly in a web browser without having to install any software whatsoever.
I have two more questions. I jumped on, sorry. People have a bunch of compliance questions. What about HIPAA? Is it HIPAA compliant as well?
That's being worked on.
Yeah, the product is, right now, it would definitely have to just go through a risk request for that process. So it's capable of it, and it is being used in hospitals, it's being used for telemedicine, but not currently at UF. But there is the risk assessment process you can put it through for that purpose.
Yep.
And I just want to mention, I know you guys have a lot of questions about this. We are working on covering this in another session, like really a deep dive into what are all your storage options and which data should you be putting in which place. So we know the need is out there to talk about this more deeply.
I want to make a point about the any place idea is normally if I had a crowd of people right now, I would ask the question, who enjoys connecting to the VPN? And one person would raise their hand, and then I would say, you like the result of what happens after you connect to the VPN, not the process and the tether that you get. So with the cloud and using, Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, you no longer have that requirement. The data is hosted off the corporate network and it's hosted in Microsoft's network. So this enables you to do some pretty amazing things with some of these devices on the slide, like pull your phone out of your pocket and access a file and look at it. And the last point I want to make on this slide is the web browser component. Teams is one of the only products I know of that if you use Edge or Chrome as your web browser, you can actually participate in a video call without having to install any software whatsoever. There's no plugin that you have to install or controller, a little thing that pops up and says you have to do this first before we can access your camera. It works 100% natively inside of Edge and Chrome. And this is a huge benefit for people who are outside of the university who you may invite to a video conference as an external user. Now there's less things that they have to do on their side to prepare to be able to participate in that video conference. So we see that as a huge benefit, especially when working with outside users. So now we're going to get to the tour of the interface. So I'm going to try to take us around what Teams looks like and try to cover some terminology, define a few things that are inside of it. And like I said before, we're going to flip some switches and push some buttons and see what they do. Okay. So this is called grid view. You will see all of your teams as a grid, these little cards. This is the default view that Teams will be in when you open it for the first time. This is an example of a team that I've highlighted, which is our training team in IFAS called IFAS Jurassic County. So we're going to jump into that team and see what's going on inside that team. So this looks a little busy, right? We've got a lot of words and pictures and things. So we're going to start over here on the left side and kind of zoom in on this interface a little bit and define what some of these things are. So first, like I said, we have the IFAS Jurassic County Extension is my team, right? But what is a team? And these next two topics or these next two terms are probably the most important things. A team is a collection of people in both the real world and in the technical world. When you generate a team, you're creating a group and you are adding user accounts to that group. And when you do that, you're then going to be able to bring all of those users into one place to provide them with all of the tools that Teams offers. You'll get conversations and file storage all in one place. So the reason why I emphasize that so much is because as we move down the interface and get into channels, channels are not groups of people. Channels are spaces that exist inside of that team that you built. These are generally based on a topic or a subject. So this gives you another place to have conversation within your team, and it also includes a way for you to store files. So think of these as an organizational tool. if you had a team that had, you know, like this GBAS team that we're in right now, there's almost 450 people in this team. If we only had one chat room to talk in, it would get really noisy really quickly, right? Because there's several different work streams happening, lots of different people with lots of different responsibilities. And if all those people were talking inside of one room, you know, they would say something and more people would say something and it would scroll off. So creating a channel gives you a way to kind of segment that conversation and base it on a specific subject. So we see, you know, an HR channel, 4-H channel, a facilities channel. We see all kinds of use cases like that where people can go, they can ask questions and talk about whatever that topic is. You'll also be able to store files that are related to that topic there as well. So you can kind of think about it like a subfolder, but we'll show you a little bit more on subfolders as we move through this.
And we're in some teams that are in other universities and institutions that are in several thousand people are in a single team. And through the use of channels, we can properly communicate, and it's not chaos. It's actually manageable. You can go into a channel and follow along what's happening in those. So those channels really make it so you can focus on a specific project or topic for yourself.
For those of you out there who may use Outlook forwarding rules to forward certain types of communications into certain folders inside of your inbox, this is the same idea, except it does it for you automatically. It's just the nature of how it works by design. All of the communication related to marketing will always go into the marketing channel because that's where you discuss that topic. So it's a great way to keep things organized and not make things chaotic. We're going to move up to the top now of the Teams interface and show off this top bar. This bar is very powerful. This is the search and command bar. This is two things in one. So if you go up to that top bar and you type in a /, it's going to drop down and show you all kinds of really cool commands that you can do. So if you're the type of person that doesn't like to click through menus and hunt for settings, you may be able to get to that setting quicker. Like you can do /call and then type someone's name in and start an audio call with them right away. So there's some really good things in there. I definitely would recommend taking a look at /what's new and /help. Those are very good things to keep up with. The what's new is always updated because Teams is an ever-changing, evergreen service that's always getting updates. So that's a very good way to keep up with what's going on. It's also a search bar, a universal search bar that will kind of dive down into all of the teams that you are a member of. So you can filter your search to show you messages, search for people, and you can even search for files. Not only can you search for files, it will actually search that term inside of the file. So if it's a PDF or a Word document, PowerPoint, spreadsheet, whatever term you type in, if that term exists inside of that document, it will be returned as a result. You can also filter this to say, you know, hey, I'm getting too many search results. I want to narrow this down to just search one specific team. Maybe even I want to search for a file that I know Joe is working on, so it would have been last modified by Joe. So this gives you kind of the idea of you don't need to know where it is, you just need to know what it is. So this may give you some relief if you're feeling overwhelmed with too many channels or too many folders. Give the search bar a try because it is extremely powerful.
Dwayne, before we go on, can you guys just address, there have been a lot of questions about the ability to restrict access to certain channels. So can you guys maybe just touch on that really quickly before we move on?
Sure. So moving back to the terms of teams and channels, the team being a group of people and a channel being an item that exists inside of that group. There is no way right now for me to add someone to a channel. They will see the channel because they are a member of the team. So all members will see all channels. If you have a security reason, you know, some sort of sensitivity, I need to have some files somewhere and I don't want a certain subset of my team to be able to see those files, the answer right now is to create a second team. There is something coming that's a concept called private channels. It's kind of a can of worms, but we'll talk about it a little bit. It will allow you to create a channel and dictate access to it. This was the most requested feature for the entire Teams platform, and it took Microsoft about 2 years to deploy this, this setup. So it does, from a IT perspective, it does get very complicated. And as a state institution who has to deal with record retention and those types of things, there were some complications with that, which is why it's not on right now. But we believe that those things are close to being resolved, and I hope that we will have private channels. Pre-pandemic, I would have said in the first half of this year, but Microsoft's priorities are shifting obviously right now because of remote education and remote work. So that is a good question. So again, to recap that, every person who's in the team can see everything that's in the team. So if you have to separate that, you have to create a new team with only the audience that should be able to see those specific files.
Thank you so much.
Up at the top, you once you enter a channel, you may see these things called tabs. So by default, you're always going to have posts and you're always going to have files, but you can add other things too. These are kind of like browser favorites a little bit. It's a way to bring up a specific piece of information and put it in an easily accessible tab. So you could make a website into a tab. So if your department has a departmental website, or maybe you're developers and you're working on building a website, you could just make that website a tab. So while you're in the channel communicating and you want to take a look at it real quick, just click the tab and it will load that website right inside of Teams. The theme here is to keep you in one app. There is such a thing called application fatigue. Having to work in 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 different applications all at the same time can really wear you out. So Teams tries to keep as much as it can inside of the Teams interface, so you're not having to, you know, master that Alt-Tab key combo on your keyboard and jump around through a whole bunch of different open windows.
We see some departments put up maybe like a little desk manual or an onboarding document and pin that into the team, or maybe like a welcome document. So somebody's new to the team, that's the first place they can go to kind of help understand how to use the team properly.
So we talked about posts, and I mentioned files, and so this may be what most of you are interested in, is what does it look like when I put stuff inside of Teams? So when you click on that Files tab, this is what you'll see. You will see exactly what you'd expect, all of your files. Notice that there are folders. So when I said earlier, a channel is kind of like a subfolder, I didn't want you to think that you can't create subfolders yourself, and you can. So you can organize this to your heart's content. You can create subfolders inside of subfolders inside of subfolders if that's what you want to do. But you do not need to create an entirely new channel just to use it like you would a subfolder. So create a channel when you have the desire or the need to talk about that topic or subject. So you can create new files directly inside of the Teams interface. So if you need to author a new Word document, just click the new button and choose Word file and give it a name, and you can start authoring a new Word document right away. You can upload existing documents that you have on your PC now by clicking the upload button. You can also drag and drop files into the Teams window. When you have the channel that you want them to go to open, you can simply drag a file into it and it will upload that file for you. You can set up sync. So if we have any OneDrive users out there, Dropbox users, Google Drive users, you should be familiar with this concept of, I have copies of my files in the cloud. I run a little piece of software on my computer and it synchronizes those files down to my computer so they look like they're on my local hard drive. Teams does that too. So if you have a channel that you frequent that has lots of data in it that you need to use, try the sync button out. And we'll touch on this later. I'll actually show most of what that looks like and explain some of the nuances of it. We're going to move over to the conversation part of the Teams canvas here. So this is an example of a conversation. A conversation is a little compartment. It is comprised of someone generates a post and then people reply to that post. You're all familiar with tagging now, thanks to my foul up with the notification storm and 20 tags per person. I'm sorry about that. I learned a lesson on how that works yesterday. So it was a late night. But you can post a message in a channel. You have a few options for making that post engaging, or maybe it's just a simple, hey, where are we going to lunch today? You know, so you have some options there. You can also mention others. So we'll cover those tags a little bit later as well. But if you're familiar with Facebook, you know, that style of social media conversation, then you already know how to use this. Post a message, reply to a message, react to a message. So we have some fun emojis in here that we can use. I'm a big fan of the angry face one. It's my favorite. Be sure to reply to messages rather than start a new message. So each individual thread will have a reply button at the bottom of it. If you don't use the reply button, you will actually be starting a whole new conversation. So it is unfortunately intuitive to go to the text box at the bottom and start typing. But notice it says new conversation. So you'll be starting a new thread. That is important to remember, because if you don't heed that advice, you can end up with your conversations getting out of order. Because as somebody responds to the previous conversation, Teams will move it to the bottom because it's the most current.
If that happens while you're working with this and you catch it quickly, you can delete that message. You copy it first. You don't have to type it again, and you can delete that message and put it back in reply. There are proper retention policies applied and things like that, so we can delete and edit our messages. So if you make a mistake somewhere grammatically or a link is wrong, you can go back and fix it.
Yep, that's a fantastic thing, that ability that we have. We always try to encourage people to use the format option. So when you see that start new conversation box at the bottom, you'll see a little A icon. The most important reason that I'd like to start off with is it allows you to actually hit the enter key as you're typing. So if you don't use advanced format and you just start typing in the text box, as soon as you hit the enter key, if your intention was to drop down to a new line, it's actually going to send the message. If you open up advanced formatting, now you have a word processor. You know, you have all kinds of formatting options that are available to you, in addition to being able to start new paragraphs and things like that. You can add hyperlinks. You can have bullet lists and tables and quotes. If you're an IT person, you can even paste in raw code from 50 or so different languages that it will format for you properly, which is pretty great. Always give your post a subject. You know, how many of you write an email and send an email out to a bunch of people and put no subject in it, right? Yeah, I would treat Teams the same way. Let people see quickly what the idea is, what you're trying to get at. And as you move down, you'll see that you can attach files. So you can attach files, you can add fun emojis in there, GIFs, memes. There's even some really cool badges that you can use to provide praise to a teammate. So there's teamwork badges and problem solver badges and achievement badges. So that's a fun way, a fun engaging way to interact with your teammates. So we're going to do a little demo, hopefully. So please excuse me if it doesn't work, because this is live. But we're going to jump into the GBAS team, and the facilitators. We're gonna kind of demo a little conversation. So here are the list of all of my teams, and this is my GBAS virtual training team. And I'll just start a new message. So click the advanced format button, give my post a subject, and we'll see. Add in my super cool message and hit send. So now my teammates can start reacting to that to let me know that they saw it. A thumbs up is a really good way to do that. It doesn't necessarily have to mean like, ooh, wow, I really like that presentation file, but it can also be an acknowledgement, you know? So just to let them know that they saw it. Now, Emily hasn't been watching the training, unfortunately, and she did not respond to the existing conversation. She started a new conversation. So this is the difference here. You'll see that her name is out to the left and the responses are indented. So as people start to respond, you'll notice that her response or her post will start to become out of order. And where she meant to respond to me will actually scroll up to the top here and kind of fade off into the distance, which is sad, never to be seen again. But as Joe said, fortunately, she has the ability to copy what she wrote. She can click the 3 dots on the message. She can delete her message and then respond in line like she meant to originally. So see, there we go, all fixed, no big deal. So all of you, we had a little bit of confusion in the beginning where we apologize. We had sort of a chicken and an egg situation. We started telling you about assigned channels and teams and things like that, but we hadn't even trained you on teams yet. So hopefully by now everybody's taken a look at their assigned channel. So we would love it if you would open up your Teams application at this time, head over to your assigned channel. We're going to do a little bit of hands-on activities, and we'll have some people monitoring the channels to jump in and help you as we go. So the first thing I'd like for you to do is just simply start a new conversation in your channel. And this will get pretty noisy because there's about 20 to 22 people per channel. So it's going to be chaos, but that's okay, right?
See him lighting up right now.
Okay. All right, so GBES folks, if you for some reason didn't get assigned to a channel, just jump into one, that's fine. And I trust you to self-organize well. You always do that amazing, so go for it.
So now that you've all had the opportunity to start a new conversation, I'd love everyone to find that reply button and reply to one of your buddies that's in the channel with you so that you can have a proper reply to an existing conversation. And if you haven't done so already, I am seeing quite a few reactions. Go ahead and try the reaction. Find that post that you want to react to, go to the right side of it, and you'll see 3 little dots. Hover over that, and then give it a thumbs up or a heart or, you know, an angry face.
So I had someone ask a question about how we added the subject, and that's the first little button that has the A with the little pencil by it when you start a new conversation. That's the way that you can add that subject line.
Yeah, that's the A at the bottom of the screen that Dwayne's hovering over right now.
Everybody got that?
You can create announcements. You can.
Yeah, when you get into advanced format, that's actually, if you look at the top left here, that's how you can choose if you want your post to be an announcement or just a regular conversation. An announcement is what I did. It just visually makes your post stand out. This does not generate a notification. This just makes it stand out against all of the other posts that may be happening in the channel. So you can see here, the example on my screen now is this is a regular post with a subject, so where I gave everyone the webinar information, as opposed to this is an announcement that has an illustrated banner and you know it stands out with the little megaphone icon on it. Next, if you would, in a reply, have a little bit of fun and try that GIF button at the bottom or the sticker one next to it. The emojis are animated too, so those can be a lot of fun. There's a facepalm one that I think is pretty great. There's rolling on the floor, laughing, you know, there's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. And this really lets you convey some emotion in your messages, it's a lot better than just text on a screen, right? If you just had a gigantic channel that was nothing but text with no pictures and no GIFs, you know what that looks like? Looks like a lot of work. We don't want that. We want fun, right? So add a little bit of fun into your post and lighten it up a little bit.
All right, so we have some questions in the Q&A about how to get to the teams. So I want to do a little bit of clarification here. So this training has two parts to it. You are, if you can hear me, you're logged into Zoom, and we're communicating through the Q&A feature in Zoom. In addition to that, you all got instructions to open Teams on your computer and or your phone. And so to do this activity, you would have to go to the Teams app, and you would have been invited to the GBAS virtual training team, which is where we're doing all of this. And so once you find that team, then you can find a channel, and the channels are all named for places on UF, like Bat House, the French Fries, the Harn Museum. So your team is not your team that you work with. So it's not, you know, for me, it would not be my training team, or for Rachel, it would not be the controller's office. It would be the one of the channels there. So those of you that felt like you couldn't find it, if you're still lost, could you post again in the Q&A and give me more specifics so we can see how we can help you? Make sense?
For those of you who do not have Teams installed, you'll want to access it with your web browser by visiting office.com, and be sure to sign in with your Gator link at ufl.edu. Do not use an email alias.
Yep, that's perfect.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, we're going to move on back into the Teams interface and head back over to the left-hand side of it to talk about what's called the app bar. Nerds call it the left rail, but we heard that wasn't as user-friendly, so we're going to go with app bar. The first thing at the top is your activity feed. This is kind of like your inbox for Teams. So this is going to be a culmination of all of the things that have been going on as it relates to you. If your name was mentioned, if someone responded to you, if someone reacted to you. So the exercise that we just did, you may actually see some notifications up in your activity feed where someone responded to a post, or someone thought your post was funny and gave it a laughing reaction. You do have the ability to filter those notifications, which is nice. So if you need to find, hey, I'm really concerned with all the notifications that I haven't looked at yet, I can filter them by unread. I can also only look at the ones where somebody specifically mentioned me or a team that I'm in. Or I can look at the ones that were just responses to me. So you can really filter this down, and again, don't be overwhelmed by the amount of notifications that are in there, because you can control what it looks like and how they come in.
All right, Dwayne, I want to mention one more thing. So some people are having a hard time minimizing their Zoom window so that they can actually see their Teams window. So if you go to the very top of your Zoom window, you should see a button that says Zoom View Options. And I don't know if you can show them that, Dwayne, and then you go down and you can make it not full screen.
Yeah, you can exit full screen mode, and you can use the Alt-Tab keyboard shortcut on your keyboard to switch back and forth between windows really quickly too. I can't share the control bar on my end, unfortunately.
Okay.
So we're going to jump into chat. This is one of Gwen's favorite pieces, I think, is the ability to just look somebody up and send them a message. So this is pretty great. Anybody in UF, if they're on Teams, you can just type their name in that search bar, pull them up, and send them an instant message. You can have a lot of chats going on too. So here's a list of my chats. Up at the top is how I could start a new chat. You can start group chats. You can one-on-one chats. You can filter. Again, you'll notice there's a theme here in Teams of filtering, because we want you to be able to find information easily and not be overwhelmed by all of the words on the screen, you know. So you can filter your chats to only show me the ones that were unread, or only show me chats that occurred during meetings that I was a part of. And you can mute chats too. So if you got added to that one weird group chat that they keep talking about where they're going to go to lunch every day and you're not really into that, you can mute it without having to leave it and let everybody know that you're not interested in their lunch choice. So that's a good tip. You can also organize your chats by pinning your favorite ones up to the top. So click the 3 dots next to one of the chats and choose pin, and that will make sure it's always available up at the top. And then the ones below that will be in chronological order based on their activity. So if somebody hasn't messaged you in a while, it will kind of fade off down towards the bottom. But don't worry, the conversation history does not get lost or fragmented. It is one single stream of communication. So if you haven't talked to somebody in 6 months and you pull up a chat between you and that person again, you will get to see what you were talking about 6 months ago. So all that is retained, which is great for picking up where you left off, even if there's a large period of time in between those messages. We're going to move over to the right-hand side of our chat interface here and show how easy it is to take that text-based chat and turn it into a video call. So all you have to do is click the camera and it will start calling. If maybe video is not your thing and you just need to make a traditional phone call, don't worry. You can click the telephone icon and it will just do an audio call sans the camera. You have screen sharing technology where if you're having a problem, we use this in IT quite a bit. I'm sure everyone's experienced some form of, hey, I need to see your screen so I can see that crazy error message that you're telling us you're seeing. So now when you're working with your peers, you can show them exactly what it is that you're working on. Maybe it's a website that you're having an issue with, or a document that you're working on. You could just share your screen so they can see it, give you some feedback, take it and move on. You can also turn these chats into group chats. So if you click the little people person up at the top right of your chat window, you'll be able to add additional members as well as view the members that are currently in this group chat with you. One nice thing about this is when you add an additional member to your group chat, you get to determine how much they can see of the chat history. So if you need to bring somebody in temporarily, perhaps for a quick part of the conversation, maybe you don't include the chat history, or maybe they're a new member of your unit and you want them in your group chat for here on out, you can include all of the chat history. And remember, these are searchable. So that universal search bar, when you start searching for terms, chats will be one of those things that comes back to, which is a great way to catch up on a chat from long ago.
So again, a chat is a little bit different than what you do inside of a team. We have some chats. It's not as useful at this point, but we had one for our floor in our building. We were a couple different teams, but we see each other every day, maybe go to lunch. So we had a group chat that we would use to kind of communicate what was going on our floor. I think we have one for virtual walking. There's this walking challenge that we do on campus, and you can have a little group chat for those people that you might be doing that with now as you run from the couch to the fridge nowadays, and try to keep those steps up. So this doesn't have to be project-based. It's often these are either sometimes they are project-based, maybe a quick little project, but a lot of times they have little different reasons you can use these group chats, a little more personal sometimes in these group chats.
Joe, did you not hear Gwen's advice on refrigerator distancing?
I did.
Okay. So a pro tip, name your group chat. So if you give your group chat a name, instead of seeing, Gasper Joe and Hyatt Dwayne and Lazenby Philip, you can actually give it a fun name. So during this entire planning process for the GBAS virtual training event, we had a GBAS Microsoft Teams professional development chat that all of us were included in. So 8 or 9 of us are in there. So click the little pencil up at the top next to your chat and give it a name. And again, you'll notice a theme here. Now that chat is searchable. So if you can't find that chat in your long list of chats, all I have to do is type in GBAS, and there is my chat at the bottom. Click on it, and boom, it takes me right into that chat. time for a new hands-on activity. So referencing that spreadsheet that everyone did their homework on and looked at to find their assigned channel, you'll also see that you've been assigned a buddy. Gwen used a buddy system. You'll have a number in the far right-hand column, and you'll be able to find people in your channel that have the corresponding number. I'd love it if you looked them up, sent them a message, and practice a little bit of chat.
While you guys are finding that, I also want to say, I'm going to go ahead and say it on behalf of all the other facilitators. If you have questions that you're posting in the channel that you need us to answer, please do @ and whatever our name is, because you guys are obviously having a lot of fun. But I can't tell what are funny gifts and what are questions that you guys really need me to help with. So I just want to make sure that we're not ignoring anyone. So if you have a question, if you put @ and our name, then it'll tell us that you notified us. So we're not having to sort through everything.
Emily, I heard you're a big fan of Skype for Business.
So I cannot stand Skype for Business. And anyone that works with me at all knows I don't think I've signed in for months and months and months. One of the reasons that I don't like, actually the main reason that I don't like it, is that I feel like it really interrupts my work. It takes me away from what I was doing and it distracts me. So I actually use chat in Teams a lot though, because it integrates with my work. I can share documents with everyone right as we're talking. And especially right now, while we're working remotely, I feel like I'm really having a conversation about the work with my coworkers, whereas I never had that feeling with Skype for Business. And so right now, my interns and I are working on changing our monthly reconciliation process. And it's great because we have a chat called Reconciliation Updates, because Dwayne, we took your advice, we named our chat. And so it's called Reconciliation Updates, and we can share drafts. We jumped on a call yesterday to bounce ideas off each other. And so it's really easy. And right now, I'm actually using it to help track my hourly employees. So whenever they start their shift, they send me a message in the chat. And then we're on Teams the whole time because we use Teams constantly. And then whenever they leave for the day, they tell me they're leaving in the chat. And so it's a way that I'm helping to kind of keep track because, you know, I'm not seeing them face to face.
Awesome. One of my favorite parts about Skype for Business was you never knew which computer the message went to. So if you're logged into it with your phone and your work computer and your laptop at home and somebody messaged you, you had about 4.5 seconds to react to it before one computer randomly picked up that message. So that was always great. Teams definitely does that a lot smoother now. So.
Can you guys really quick, because there are quite a few questions about, do you mind walking through how to name the chat again to show
Sure.
quick so we don't have to show a bunch of different people maybe?
So I'm going to go to chat and start a new chat. And I'm going to pick Joe and Gwen and yourself. Right? So I have 3 people in the 2 box now. I'm going to say, hey, everyone. And this will start a group chat. So all of you will receive a message from me. So now that I have this message going, if you look over here on the left, it's kind of messy. Like I see Gwen's name +3. You know, that's not very intuitive. I have no idea what that actually means. So up at the top, I go all the way to the right of the participants list, and there's a little pencil. Click on that pencil. Now I can name this some sort of creative name. And now, rather than saying Gwen +3, it says Super Chat. And that, again, like I said, becomes searchable. So if I type in Super Chat, this comes in as a search result, and I can click on it, and it will just take me straight to that chat. Hopefully that clarifies it for a few of you. All right, we are going to continue our tour down the app bar. Now we're moving down to calls. So Teams has, we touched on this before, and this is a little bit redundant, but there's a cool feature here that I felt like I wanted to point out. You can turn any chat into an audio call, right? You can initiate an audio call through the calls button as well. But what it gives you is kind of like a little address book too. So you can get a speed dial, a group of speed dials, people, favorite contacts that you call frequently. This is great because you no longer need to remember an extension number. You just need to know their name and add them to a speed dial, or again, type them in the search box and start a call. But also you can create custom groups. So in this example here, I have a custom group of all of our help desk technicians. One thing that this allows me to do is this allows me to see their status. In this particular example, they were all off of work, so their status was away. But if I was during working hours and I needed to get a help desk tech quickly, I could just hit the calls menu, see a status of all of them at the same time, pick one that's green and give them a call and say, hey, I need you to run over to building 69 and work on the conference room camera because it's not working again. So this is a great way to kind of create your own little contact groups to kind of organize your people into in your teams. Moving back over to the app bar, we're moving down to files. And this is one of my favorite parts because this is where you start to see a little bit of the crossover between Teams and OneDrive. This always creates a little bit of confusion because we see people say, hey, I've got a file in my OneDrive, but I don't see it in Teams. Or vice versa. I put it in Teams and where is it? I can't find it in my OneDrive. Those are two separate systems. So this is the easiest, most straightforward breakdown we can do of OneDrive versus Teams. OneDrive is your private files and you control the sharing permissions. So when you have a file in your OneDrive, think of it like your user drive. In IFAS, we call it the U drive. That's only accessible by you. However, unlike your shared network drive, OneDrive does give you the ability to share out files. So you can right-click on a particular file and share it with a colleague inside or outside the university. So this can be used for small, lightweight collaboration projects, right? Hey, I just need you to look at this file and view it with me. The PowerPoint that you're looking at right now, I didn't create a team around this PowerPoint. I just shared it via my OneDrive with the people who are in that chat, so that we could all collaborate and work on it together. Then when you move into Teams, the files belong to the team. Remember that I said earlier, anyone who's in the team has access to everything that's in the team. So the files belong to the team and the permissions are automatically controlled by Teams. So when you add a new member, that member automatically is granted access to whatever's inside of that team. But as you're seeing, Teams also adds some extra capabilities of conversations, channels, meetings and tabs, and other Office 365 integrations. So if you find yourself at a point, should I use OneDrive or should I use Teams for this? I think really you should just ask, well, do I need conversation around this item? And will there be more items down the road that I need to add into this? And if that's the case, you should give Teams a look.
All right, so I want to go back there 1 second, Dwayne. I think this is a really important point. I want to make sure everybody gets the difference between OneDrive and Teams. So I just want to give you a minute to look at that. Also, I wanted to just say out loud, we are going to take a break in just a few more features. So hang on, we will give you a break. If you have any questions about the OneDrive and Teams, post it in the Q&A. All right, thanks.
No problem. We're going to give you the different views that you have inside of the files section of Teams. And then again, this is the files section on the app bar, not files inside of a channel. I know that sounds crazy, but work with me here. So this is your personal view. This will be unique per person. So the first one is recent. These are going to be recent files that you have worked on, that you have touched throughout all of the teams that you are a member of and files that exist in your OneDrive. So this is a combination view of both Teams and OneDrive based on your activity. So if there's a file that you're recently working on, like that super awesome GBAS Teams training PowerPoint slide deck, and you don't remember what folder you stuck it in, you can just open up Teams, go to Files, Recent, and it will be in that recent list, and you can click it and open it straight away.
And that'll follow you around based upon what device you're on. So it will, if you're working on a desktop, open up some files those get added to your recent list. You open up your laptop, that list is going to be the same. It will know what you've been working on and follow you around.
Yep. The next section we jump into are Teams files. These are Teams files that have been recently modified by your peers throughout all of the teams that you are a member of. Remember, I said this view will look different for everyone. So not everyone is in this same exact number of teams or the same exact specific teams. So this will be, if somebody worked on the copy of workshop contract spreadsheet, it will show up in this list. So this allows you to see what are your peers doing and what are they working on and what are some active things that are happening right now. You'll also be able to see Teams downloads. By default, these will go to your downloads folder in your computer, just like everything else would if you were to download a file with your browser. But viewing it this way will kind of filter it to only show you things that were downloaded by Teams itself. I get this question all the time. No, you cannot change the directory that Teams downloads files to when you download a file via a chat. But this is just a quick, easy way to get to downloads. It also includes a open downloads folder up in the top right of this menu, so you can jump into the downloads folder in File Explorer. And you can also see your OneDrive. Your OneDrive is right here. Your OneDrive will also be available in File Explorer or the OneDrive app or on the web. But Teams, again, it wants to put as much as it can in one place for you. So if we have any Lord of the Rings fans out there, they may be thinking, hey, this really might be the one app to rule them all, right? So everything's all in one place. You see it all, and it's nice and convenient. The OneDrive view is the only view that actually lets you control what it looks like. So you get to say, I want a list, or hey, this is too much going on. I want a compact list, or I like big shiny icons. So I'm going to turn it into tile view. And that's the end of the app bar. Whew, that was a long trip. You may have noticed that I skipped over assignments. That is because assignments is not really relevant here in the way that we leverage Teams inside the university. Microsoft offers two different flavors of Teams. They offer business and academic. We have the academic version, not the enterprise or business version. So we have extra academic type features that you'll see later on. We also skipped calendar. Your calendar will eventually integrate directly into Teams. UFIT is in the process of migrating everyone's mailboxes up to the cloud. And once your mailbox is in the cloud and Teams is in the cloud, you'll start to unlock a lot more integration features. So since that's kind of in flux right now, we didn't really want to get stuck on it too long. But don't worry, very soon you will be able to schedule your meetings directly inside of Teams, and that's one less app you have to be in. While we're up here, I'd like to go over some of the Teams application settings that you can configure. Number one, you can set up your profile. Again, this is kind of mixed results based on if you have a cloud mailbox or not. If you do have a cloud mailbox, you'll be able to set your profile picture directly inside of Teams itself. If you do not have a cloud mailbox and you would like to set your profile picture, you need to do it through mail.ufl.edu, log in there and set your profile picture via the website. You can set a status message. You can set your availability. Status is kind of like out of office. You can say, hey, I'm off today, or I'll be back at 2 o'clock. You can put that in your status message. So right as somebody tries to instant message you, they will see that status message available. We're going to dive into some of the settings here inside of Teams. You can switch between their default colors theme and what all the cool kids use nowadays is dark mode, because it's easier on your eyes, in my opinion. I'm a real fan of it. Also, I will be demonstrating this very soon. You can switch between this gigantic chunky grid view into a more compact list view that will allow you to see all of your teams at one time. So I will demo that after this feature is over. You can also control your notifications preferences. So again, this is, if you find Teams is too noisy, I would jump in here and take a look at these settings, because you really are in control of all the notifications that you receive and how they get delivered to you. So take a look at these notification settings, and if you're tired of personal mentions popping up down from the clock every time somebody mentions you, maybe change it to feed only. So it just goes to your activity feed. And of course, you can set up your audio and video device and then confirm that it's actually working by making a test call. So you'll call Teams and you'll talk to the Teams bot, and then she will play your message back to you and let you know how you sound. And you get a little status report that lets you know if your network's okay and everything else and how that's working. So we're going to do a little demo. I'm going to show you the difference between list view and grid view. So here I am inside of my Teams interface. I'm going to go up to the top, grid view. Switch, hit settings rather. And then I'm going to click list. Now notice, instead of seeing all of my teams as boxes, I now see all of my teams over on the left-hand side, and I can scroll through them. I'm in a lot of teams. So if anybody feels like they're overwhelmed by being in a lot of teams, come talk to me. So
our notifications is manageable, so it's not a problem.
So one really nice thing about this is I can really quickly see where there's activity. I can see that there's a team that's bold. That tells me something was said inside of that team. When I open it, I can actually see the channels now that are bold. So that tells me that there was activity going on inside of that team. So this is a much more high-level view to be able to see all of your teams at one time, as well as keep up with what's going on. Even if it didn't make it to your activity feed, you can scroll through the list of teams and see what's going on really quickly.
Yeah, I particularly like that list view myself. As an efficiency person, it saves me like 3 clicks every time I need to switch between the teams. And I also am on quite a few teams. So I love the bold feature, but then that's also a great place where you can use the filter, right, Dwayne? So I can just filter for messages that were sent to me or things that I know that I still need to read.
Yep, in your activity feed, you have all that capability, and you just like you can search for a group chat, you can search for a team too, and it will take you straight to that team. There's also, for the command line wizards out there, there's a command called /goto that will take you straight to a channel in a team, which is also nice. And you can pin channels in list view, just like you can pin chats. So if you have common channels and teams that you really pay attention to more than others, you can click the 3 dots on that channel and pin it, and it will move it up to the top of your list.
That's something we kind of mentioned, is that common theme we keep talking about is the 3 dots. If there's something you're not sure of where that feature was or where that setting was, usually it's going to be hidden under one of those 3 dots. Kind of that context menu, you'll find it there.
Yep. I'm going to jump into the phone app for just a minute, because we're not going to repeat this entire entire segment on the phone app, but just real briefly, I wanted to pull up my phone and let everybody see that I'm going to see the same thing that I was seeing on my desktop. I'm going to see that on my phone, which is really great. I can jump into a team. I can take a look at what's going on inside of that, inside of one of those channels. So we'll take a look at the general channel. Sorry, this is an older phone. It's a little slow.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we'll blame the Wi-Fi. Or we'll just abort that. And, oh, there we go. So I can look and see the files that are inside of that team. I can open these files and look at them. The mobile phone really is great because it allows you to carry all of the things that Teams does, almost full feature parity in your pocket. So when you're working on a file, you could jump into a channel, go over to the Files tab, and then open that file. So I don't want to open the roster because it's gigantic, but we can open up this spreadsheet here, take a look at it. And because I have Office Mobile installed on my phone, you'll notice at the bottom right, I have a little Excel button down there. So by default, when I load this in Teams, it will be in read-only view. But if I push that Excel button, it will actually open that file up in Excel Mobile, which now I can edit. As fun as it is to try to edit a spreadsheet from a 4.5-inch phone, it is possible. So if you're in a pinch, out somewhere, like, I don't know, maybe say a conference where you had something going on and you need to look at a file real quick, you can do that.
Yeah, and I want to do a shameless plug for the mobile app because I am a huge fan of it. Actually, I have used it at every conference I've gone to whenever anyone needs me to review anything or to collaborate on Word. One, you can do it on the go. There's no VPN. There's no trying to, open and expand the tiny little Word in the email to figure out what's going on. It integrates really well with the Excel app, the Word app, all of those different apps for your phones. And so you can open all of those attachments. And so whenever you're not near a computer, the app is really easy to use, just the same way as your normal team. People can put stuff to you in the chat and all of that stuff. So I am a huge proponent of using the app.
One thing that, for your own sanity, a feature that I'd like to show everyone, when we talked about how you can manage notifications, if you have the Teams app on your phone, if you go to the very top left and click the little, we call it the hamburger menu, you can go into your settings and notifications, and you can actually define quiet hours. So when Gwen sends you that chat message at 4:30 in the morning, you can define quiet hours so that you say, you know what, between the hours of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m., I don't want any notifications from Teams. And you know what, I don't want any notifications on Sundays either. So you can actually define a quiet day. So just remember, you are in control of the information flow. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, you can ratchet it back a little bit to your own, meet your own needs.
And that came up because my wonderful interns that are helping today are not morning people, unlike Gwen and I. And one of them asked how we do it because they said we were bombarding them with notifications too early in the morning. So you truly can set it so you won't get any of the notifications until you wake up or starting your workday.
I think anybody normal knows 5 a.m. is too early.
That is for sure.
We go to bed.
All right. Gwen?
Are we at a break?
I think we might be. What do you think?
I
Has
think we should
everybody-
take a break.
Brains melted yet?
Yep. All right, everybody, let's take 10 minutes. I hope you'll stretch, walk around, whatever you need to do, get more water. And then we'll come back at exactly 3:41. All right. We'll give them 10 minutes. Perfect. All right, my GBest friends. I hope you got a nice stretch break in. I know you guys have a ton of questions. Just remember that we will leave this team up afterwards and we can revisit some of these questions, even if we can't get them answered today. I did want to address one question for sure, which was someone asked about the Sunshine State laws. And of course, they apply to teams just like they do to everything else that we do. I just wanted to make that real clear. All right, we'll get going in just a minute.
All right, thank you, Gwen. Yep, Sunshine State laws apply. Even if you, just like email, if you delete a message, it's not truly deleted forever. So it's all still retained. So this is safe and meets all of those state requirements. So, all right, we're moving on. We have now gone through and completed the Teams orientation where we covered the interface and looked at all the buttons and switches and bits and pieces and terms, technology. So now we're going to move into the power of teaming. So we're going to show you how to get into it and start using some of the pieces and parts that are inside of it. Most of you should have Teams loaded by now. If you don't, or in the future, if you, let's say you leave the office and you go home and you're trying to work on your home computer and you want to get to Teams, well, the best place for you to start is office.com. So when you go to office.com, you just click sign in. You'll sign in with your Gator link at ufl.edu, which may not match your email address, so keep that in mind. You'll be redirected to the typical, familiar orange and blue login page. We always suggest checking the box that prompts you to stay signed in. This reduces the number of times that you have to log in into the system. So if you're like me, I'm in office.com all the time, all day long. I don't want to have to log into it 400 times throughout the day because that will make me less productive. And once you're in, and now we're all in teams together, I'm sure at this point, you may, hopefully at this point, want your own team. So how do you get one? Well, when you're in grid view, teams, the create a team button will be at the top right. And if you're one of those people who heeded our advice and switched to list view, then create a team will actually be located at the bottom left. When you click the create team button, you'll be presented with the join or create team. This is where you could join a team with a join code. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but you can publish a code to allow people to volunteer to join your team rather than adding them to a team. So we're going to go ahead and click that create team button. Here you'll be presented with 4 options. Almost all the time, 99.9% of the time, you will want to choose the other option. Remember, we have been provided with an academic version of Teams. The academic version includes things that are related to conducting class, managing staff from the perspective of a principal and teachers, as well as a template for what's called a professional learning community. We'll be providing a link in the chat that has information about those. We'll be adding that after this training is done into the GBAS training team. But you can go and explore that and see all of the different bits and pieces. But just take my word for it. Almost every single time you ever make a team, you can never go wrong choosing the other team type. So once you click that, you'll get to name your team and give your team a description and choose if it's private or public. I always highly suggest giving it a very good description. The reason why is when you add a person to a team, much like when we added you to a team, they will receive an email that says, Hyatt, Dwayne Hyatt has added you to a team. Well, they get the team title, and then immediately below that, they will see the team description. So this very well could be the first thing that someone sees from you when you add them to a team. So having these things set descriptive and well is very important. Moving on, you'll then be prompted to add members to your team. We recommend skipping this because you can always add members later. The reason why we think you should skip this is because it gives you the opportunity to jump into your brand new team that you just created, and now you can go ahead and start building it the way you want. You can add options or add channels, set options and settings. And you can kind of build the reason why you're driving people to this team. So you're adding people to a team for a purpose. This is your opportunity to share that purpose and put that purpose in place. Add the content to the team that you are trying to drive them towards. So remember the theme of the 3 dots. If you click the 3 dots on your team, so in this example, I've got demo team, you can click manage team. This will give you all of the settings that are possible in the team, as well as the ability to set an icon or a picture for the team. I find setting an icon is really helpful, especially for those of us who are using Teams in grid view, because to me anyway, I don't know if not everyone's like this, but to me anyway, it's easier for me to locate a picture rather than read through all of the team names. So if I know that my team is always the green dinosaur, I'll scroll through the list and click on the green dinosaur, and now I'm in my team. So you can set your team icon there. You'll be able to define member permissions. So if you don't want your members to have the ability to create their own channels and delete channels, you can uncheck that and make it so that only owners can do that. You can disable editing and deleting of messages, although we don't recommend that because of the previous, if somebody makes a mistake and instead of replying, they start a new conversation, they won't have the ability to clean that up. By default, guest members are people who are outside of the University of Florida. Yes, you can add people to your team that are not a member of the University of Florida. You just simply need their email address and you can bring them into a team for collaboration. So,
and they'll be a full participant.
And
just like a regular member, have
Yep.
access to the Teams files and chats.
Yep, we see this a lot in research and extension when we're collaborating with counties and other universities and regional committees and things like that. It's really big. You can disable the use of mentions. So if somebody's abusing the @team mention, every single time they make a post, they tag the whole team and pull a Dwayne and cause a notification storm. You can turn that off. And you can also set your team code. Oops, sorry. You can set your team code. And this is a way to socialize your team. So maybe this is a team that you're trying to recruit people to come join. Publish a team code, give them that join code, and then they can use that code to join your team without you having to add them to it.
So some of these settings are really the only difference between really an owner and a member, is the owner is able to set some of these options up, and an owner is who can add and remove members. But beyond that, there isn't that much difference between an owner and a member.
Yep.
I also recommend not having the need for very many owners. Once you set these initial values and settings, really the owners are adding and removing members. And you don't need to have maybe 2 or 3 people as owners just to kind of backfill somebody if they're out or something like that. We definitely recommend not making just everybody an owner, because once they're a member, again, the primary mission of that team, every member is able to do that, chat, post, see all the files.
Yep. So we're just going to go through and build a team real quick. And I think while I'm doing that, Nikki had a really good experience with creating a team and building it out before people were added to it.
Yeah, thank you, Dwayne. Recently, Gwen reached out to me about creating a Microsoft team for fiscal onboarding. And even though I don't have immense knowledge or a large involvement with fiscal onboarding, it was really easy for me to use the conversation features and the chat features of Teams to communicate with Gwen about what channels she wanted to create and how she wanted to organize files, and when I could gradually add new members to the team so they can review the work I had done and give me feedback. And whenever there were new ideas based off of that feedback, I was able to pivot the direction of the team really easily. And I was always able to adjust or delete channels or delete posts or delete the entire team if that was what we needed to do to create a new team and have it just formatted the way we really wanted it to go. And it was relatively quick for me to create the new team and get fiscal onboarding up and running. And new members were able to see the conversations Gwen and I had from the history, so they knew where they could find files and everything that we had talked about.
Yeah, Nikki did a really great job thinking through how to add people at the right junction so that lots of people weren't getting notifications. We could really work through some of the things and try them out. So go, Nikki.
And I'd also like to mention too that you can easily delegate to other people of your team in your office, because while Gwen, you're totally located in another building, you could just chat with me to tell me, hey, can you do this, this, and this? Or can I just call you through Teams to get this, this, and this? And yeah, it was fun to do. It's always fun to create a new team and see what new things you can add or change.
So, and I'm going to jump on that, and I'm going to talk about, so my favorite part is what they just mentioned, that it's really easy to add people and change things around. And my favorite part of Teams is that you can do it all yourself. As Gwen mentioned at the very beginning, everyone in IT is pretty swamped right now with requests. And so requests to add a new user, you have to put in a ticket, you need all this information, whereas to add people to Teams, the owner just has to add a member. And so how we have it set up is I'm the owner for our team, and then Nikki is currently the intern that works the most. And so she is also an owner, so that I always have a backup. And it's wonderful because we have a lot of interns. So we have a controller's office intern team, and we hire every semester. And so this way we don't have to wait for IT tickets to add them to drives. When we went remotely, we didn't have to worry about adding them on for VPN or any of that. It was wonderful. We were onboarding an intern at the time. Everything went remote. And it was great because we didn't have to stop the onboarding process when IT was flooded with too many requests to add a new user. I also want to second what they said about purpose before people and taking the time to set your team up the way you like it. My very first version of the intern team, Nikki and Janelle are probably laughing. I added all the people, and then I played around with adding channels and deleting channels and adding tabs and deleting tabs. And they got, I'm pretty sure, about 300 notifications at least. And all of the notifications were, Emily added this, Emily deleted this, Emily added it, oh, she deleted it again. And so that's kind of the worst way to do it. So after that, going forward, we've always had the standard that we get our team set up how we want it. We get our channels, we get our tabs across the top, we get everything how we want it. We get that welcome announcement, and then we add all the people. So that's kind of, I have done the worst way to do it and kind of learned from there.
You know, coming from the IT people, we love the fact that this is a self-service tool. We love the fact that you own this. You know, this is a community UF owned thing, not a thing that requires super special admin powers to be able to access and use. And I think
we get out of your way.
Yeah, we're out of your way. Let you do what you need to do. And there's a real good story about, you know, equity there, that everyone has equal access to this.
As you could see from Dwayne's list of teams, we both are in a lot of other teams simply because we've helped somebody onboard into Teams. They'll add us to that. And again, through notifications and tuning, we're able to kind of stay in those teams, help people during that onboarding process. So it's a great little tool.
Joe's being very kind. He is on my intern team, and he was one of the people that got the 500 notifications. So he has experienced it painfully, but but at the same time, it's a great point is that you own it, and it's really agile in terms of making changes and adding things. You're not having to worry about trying to grant access. So I really agree. That's my favorite part of it is we own it. And so it's really nice.
I wanted to put up a list of just some thoughts on team prep and things that you should kind of run through your mind as you're building a team, or maybe even deciding if you even need a team yet. So there's potentially overlap. So there may already be a team that exists that, you know, is potentially serving this function. So it's always a good idea to ask, you know, hey, does anybody have a team for this yet? If you do, could you add me to it? If not, hey, I think we should make one, you know, communicate ahead of time. Very, very key. And as Emily said, you know, having a purpose prior to adding people. So you need to give people a reason to be there. If they don't have a reason to be there, they won't participate. You know, if they don't see why they're there, it may be frustrating even to them. Build your channels and upload content. And then remember, when do you actually need a channel? If you have something that's a specific topic that's going to generate a lot of conversation or a lot of content, then yeah, you might need a channel versus, just a subfolder. So it's always a good idea too to craft a welcome announcement and post it in the general channel after you add everyone, so that you can, again, kind of emphasize why they're there. Do not cross-post it to all of the channels in the team and tag the entire team like I did last night, because then everybody will receive a push notification times however many channels there are. So everybody got 22 notifications last night. Again, I apologize. I learned a valuable lesson. Keep your owners to a minimum.
And it made me feel really good, Dwayne.
I'm glad I could help. I'm here. Yeah. Keep your owners to a minimum. It's not to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. But again, owners can add people and owners can change settings on the team. But other than that, there's no difference between an owner and a member. They both have equal access to the content that lives inside of the team. So it is a good idea to have more than one or two owners for sure. Just for redundancy, if somebody's out, another person can step in and do something. But there is no reason to have 25 owners inside of the team. So, and then configure your team settings as you see fit prior to adding people to the team. So, all right, we are going to move on into our next section about collaboration. Everybody ready?
All right, stop, collaborate, and listen.
Yeah. So we're going to collaborate. How many of you have seen this before? This is probably a pretty common thing, I would have to imagine. I've seen this numbers of times in my life, and I don't really work with Excel spreadsheets on servers all that often, server drives and network drives. But yeah, this is what you'll get if there's a file that's located on a network drive and somebody else has it open. And what we see a lot of times in the IT world is you'll click that read-only button, you will copy all the stuff out of it, and then you'll make a new file, and then you'll start editing. And now you have two different versions of that same file because you couldn't edit it while that other person had it open. Maybe they opened it and they went on vacation, or it was Friday and they're not going to be back for 2 more days, and you really need to get into it and work on it. So having your file located in the cloud gives you a lot more potential for working on those files, namely co-authoring. Co-authoring is a pretty great trick. You can see in this screenshot here, I'm actually on a video call with Joe. You can see his photogenic self down there in the bottom right-hand corner, and we are working on this spreadsheet together at the same time. I know that we're doing that, number one, because I was on the phone with Joe, but I can see right inside of the document that Joe's in it with me, and I can see where he's at. It tells me that he's editing C8, but I can also see that live as it's happening inside of the document. And this is not some sort of, hey, he did a thing, and then a few minutes later, my file updated with the changes. This is actually live within milliseconds, of him moving around inside of the document. I can see that happening. Let's say you're in this document, and remember how I said that Teams likes to keep you in Teams. So you may have noticed this Excel spreadsheet loaded directly inside of Teams. Maybe that's not good enough. Excel Online can be a little limited sometimes, and you are all business professionals, and I'm sure there's plenty of Excel power users and pivot tables and complicated formulas and stuff like that going on. So maybe you need that extra horsepower. So again, remember the theme of the 3 dots. If you go up to the top of your Excel window and click the 3 dots, you can just say open in Excel, and that will actually transition you into the desktop version of Excel where you get that full power. Still fully supports co-authoring, no problem whatsoever, so long as you're running Office 365 version of Office on your computer. How do you know if you're running the version, the Office 365 version? If you see that autosave button up on the top left, then you will have the Office 365 version of Office. If you're running an older version, like 2016 or heaven forbid 2013 or something like that, then co-authoring will not function properly.
And it could cause problems for others in that team if they have been upgraded and are using 365. You want to make sure everyone you're collaborating with is using the latest version.
Correct. Yep. autosave only works in Teams, OneDrive, and SharePoint. Secret sauce here is that OneDrive and Teams are actually both really under the covers SharePoint. So autosave works in SharePoint. You will not see autosave available if you're working off of your network drive. So what does autosave do for you? Well, it does exactly what it says it does. It automatically saves your document, so you don't have to save it when you exit. But not only do you not have to save it when you exit, it's actually saving it multiple times throughout your editing process. So as you start working on a document, you'll notice up in the title bar that it says saving. So you type a paragraph and you pause, it's going to save it. Somebody else jumps in and they type some stuff and they pause, it's going to save it again. Well, when they do that, it's creating a version for every single time that document was edited. So if you click the title bar in any Office app, it will drop down and you'll see a little link that says version history. When you click that, it'll open up a pane on the right-hand side of Office, and it will show you all of the versions that have been created throughout the life of that document, right inside of Excel or Word or PowerPoint. You have 500 versions by default, and that can even be increased to 1,000. 1,000 would, give most people a headache. So
I think we can go to 50,000.
No, don't say that. 50,000 is way too many. So we'll start with 500. And this is much different from a traditional IT backup. An IT backup takes place at a certain time of day. So we may back up your files at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and then 6 p.m., right? This is actually backing up multiple times or versioning multiple times throughout the day. So if you see those examples there on the right, there are several of them that are only 5 or 10 minutes apart from one another from when those versions occurred. You can open one of those old versions and look at it, copy and paste content back and forth between them, and restore one and make it the current version. So how many of you have accidentally saved over top of a file before? So you have the same name and you save over one, right? And that's terrible because it doesn't go to the recycling bin, right? You didn't delete it, you just overwrote it. If you were to do that with a file in OneDrive or Teams, guess what? It's just going to create another version of that exact same file. So if that ever happens, don't worry. Go back and look at your versions and look at the one right before it and open it up and you'll see your old file there still. Speaking of recycling bin, you do get a cloud-based recycling bin inside of Teams and in OneDrive. And one of the best parts about it is now it actually tells you who deleted what and where it came from. So right now when a file becomes missing on the server and you call the IT guys to have them restore it, we can't, in most cases, tell you what happened. We can just recover the file. Now you yourself can go straight to the recycling bin and see what happened. Files will stay in the recycling bin for 93 days. So you have 3 months of retention from a file that was deleted out of your team or out of a OneDrive. Members can go back and recover files that are inside of that recycling bin. And here's another good reason why you don't want to have too many owners. You don't want to make everyone an owner is because a member could actually remove a file from that recycling bin. And you would think it was permanently deleted, but just kidding. There's actually a second stage recycling bin that only owners have access to. So you have lots of chances to get this file back and restore it. So here's a few screenshots of what that looks like and how to get to it. So if you're inside of your team and you go into a channel and you notice that that file is missing, up on the file menu bar over on the right, you'll see open in SharePoint. Click that and you'll be redirected to the SharePoint website that sits behind your team. You may be prompted to log in just like you would to office.com, and remember to use your Gator link at ufl.edu. Down on the lower left, you'll see that there's a recycling bin link. When you click that, you'll get to see exactly what you would expect, the recycling bin. And you'll get to see the files that were all deleted. You get to see the date that it was deleted, who deleted it, who originally created it, and where that file came from. So what channel did it used to live in? Check the mark next to the file and then click restore. And boom, your file would be moved right back into the channel and you're good to go. So we're going to try a hands-on activity. I hope everybody's ready, awake, and warmed up, and has their channel prepped and ready to go. I'd like you to go into your channel, and this is going to be potentially chaotic, but I think it'll be a little fun. Go into your channel that you were assigned, go to the Files tab, and I want you to open an Excel spreadsheet that's inside of that channel. And let's see if we can get your 19 or 20 other channel buddies to open up that spreadsheet with you at the same time. There's an example spreadsheet that's there. I think there's a few other ones that live inside of those channels, so give that a shot. So fire that up and watch the collaboration happen. Now I'm gonna go over on my screen and I'm gonna open up a couple of them to kind of see how things are going.
So while they do that, Dwayne, I know you and Joe laughed at me, but I'm going to say they mentioned SharePoint briefly, that every team automatically creates a SharePoint site. And I know we've had some people in our division that are more comfortable with SharePoint than Teams. And that back SharePoint site is kind of a good way to baby step them into Teams. I have a lot of people that are part of a team and don't know it because they've only ever interacted with that SharePoint site. So it is an option if people are more familiar to kind of force collaboration.
Oh, that's very sneaky.
That looks great. There's a number of people in this one.
I know. This is one of
Love
my
it.
favorite features about Teams is being able to get the same document together, especially if you have it up in Teams and you're on a call in Teams and everybody is working. I find it really powerful and an easy way to get a lot of work done in a really short amount of time.
And it's easier than like a screen share where you just have to watch one person do the work. This enables several people to be in there at the same time.
Yeah, so we have a question about what a SharePoint site is. Does somebody want to address that while people are playing in the spreadsheet?
SharePoint is one of the other tools that make up the Office 365 environment that we have. For Teams, it's where our files are stored. But SharePoint can act as basically an intranet site. It's very common for that. So if you have content you want to put up for your department, your internal department, you can put it up into a SharePoint site. It's very easy to make basically web pages that are protected down to individual departments or individual groups of people.
We use SharePoint as an intranet site for our help desk to publish information that is internal to our UF people. But you get a really nice web interface where you can put up content and share web pages, instructional guides and things like that. Teams leverages the file storage capability of SharePoint very well. So that's why, as Emily pointed out, you actually get a SharePoint site every time you make a team. And so it's really kind of baked in. All right, I'm going to take us on to the next collaboration feature that we would like to show you inside of your documents. And that is inline commenting. This is different than chat. This is different than conversation. This is actually a thing that you could do, a process inside of a document, kind of a document review process, if you will. And you can access this in the desktop app of Excel. That would be my recommendation, or the desktop app of any Office application. But you simply go over to a cell that perhaps this needs, somebody needs to follow up with this. Maybe the value's not right, or you don't understand the description, or a paragraph in a Word document, the wording isn't exactly how you think it should be. So maybe you need to have whoever it is that's responsible for that portion of that policy or that spreadsheet document come back and take a look at it. So just right mouse click on that. In this example, it's a cell, and go down to where it says new comment, and you'll get a little comment box. And you can actually use the same tagging technique that you can use inside of Teams, where you mention someone, mention them. So in this example, I do @, and then I type in Joe's name, and I say, hey, can you please confirm this item's description? Maybe I didn't feel like it was what it should be, or it was right. Click the little green go button, and a few minutes later, Joe receives an email. Hey, Dwayne mentioned you in this document. Here's what he said. Please confirm item description. Here's the cell that he was in, and here's what that cell said. So it's trying to give you as much information as it can up front about what it wants you to do. And it gives you a very convenient go to comment link. So when you click that link, it will take Joe directly to that file and take him straight to the cell where that comment was made. So this is a really good way to guide people, less clicks, less scrolling, less remembering where something is. All they have to do is click one button, and it takes them right to that part of the document that you're asking them to focus on. When Joe does what Joe needs to do, I will get a notification that says he replied, and I get that same go to comment button. Inside of the document over on the right, you'll see that there is a entire commenting pane. So you can see these comments kind of like a back and forth conversation. Once you've worked through this issue or whatever it may be, hey, Joe, you verified it. He said, yes, I've updated the description. I can then close this thread. I can resolve it, and this comment will kind of go into the background now. It'll be archived, exactly. So this is kind of like a miniature work order system or ticketing system inside of a document where you can raise an issue, someone can work on said issue, and then you can resolve the thread and archive it. So we see this happen a lot in process review,
Tenure promotion documents.
Our dean's office really likes this this feature. They use this quite a bit. So the commenting system, really powerful, really a time saver, because if you're responsible for one facet of a document, you don't want to be scrolling around and looking for things. Just guide me right to what I need to do. Let me see it. Let me get it done and back out on with my life to whatever other projects or 10 projects I was working on at the same time. Next, we touched on this earlier, file sync, but I wanted to dive into this a little bit more. I showed you the tabs up at the top, and we talked about the file sync button, but what does that really mean? So when you go into a channel, and the channels are where your files are stored, remember, so a team has channels in it, files are located inside of channels, you will see a sync button. If you click that sync button, it's going to tell you that it's ready to sync using the OneDrive app on your computer. This is really one of the benefits of Teams and OneDrive sharing technology is now the application that you need to do that syncing process is already installed on your computer. It's already there for use with OneDrive. So you click this, you'll get a notification down at the bottom that says, hey, you are now syncing this folder. So what does that look like on your computer though? Well, it looks very familiar. It looks just like files are on your computer. So you'll see over on the left, I have OneDrive, University of Florida. That's my OneDrive. Those are my personal files. Remember that I can share out with people as I see fit. But now underneath it, I have a whole new section called University of Florida, and every channel I sync will show up there as a subfolder. So it starts with the name of the team, which is IFAS Jurassic County Extension, and then the channel that I chose to sync, which was the general channel. Now I get to see all of these files locally on my hard drive, just like they were a regular file or a network share or something like that. This is especially powerful for those of you that use third-party apps like Adobe Acrobat Professional, if you open up a PDF file inside of Teams, it will let you see that PDF, but it won't let you edit that PDF. If you have Photoshop or Publisher or any kind of web design software, image editor, coding tools, any of those things, you can view those files inside of Teams. In fact, Teams will actually let you see about 350 different kinds of files without having to have software installed on your computer, but you won't actually be able to make any edits to those files. You also can't print any of those files. We found that out very quickly. You can look and view and read and edit Office documents, but you can't click print. The other thing too is if you're constantly uploading files into the PeopleSoft system or OnBase or MailChimp, you're attaching a document, you can't just click the upload button and browse all the way into a team. Those files need to appear as if they're locally available on your computer's hard drive, and sync is how you achieve that. Don't worry, when you sync a team, it's not going to eat your hard drive and take up all of your space. There's actually some really cool tech going on behind the scenes. You'll notice that each file in this example has a different icon. The swirly arrows means that that file is currently being synchronized. It's being downloaded as I click on it. A file with a green check mark means that I have designated that file to always stay on my local hard drive at all times. This is really useful if you know you're going to be somewhere that doesn't have internet. You can synchronize a team or go into your OneDrive, right click on a folder and say always make available on my device, and it will download all of those files and folders to your local hard drive so you can work on them while you're on the plane or maybe in your cabin in the middle of nowhere and you're really dying to work on a spreadsheet for some reason. You'll have that capability. Files that have a green check mark and a white background, that means that file was downloaded on demand. By default, syncing in both OneDrive and Teams, it will make all the files appear to be available, but they won't actually take up any space on your hard drive until you click them. This is really useful when you're on a laptop. If you have a device that has a very small hard drive in it and you sync a team that has hundreds of gigs of data, you don't want it to eat up the hard drive space on your laptop, right? So if you're using Windows 10 or Mac OS Mojave and higher, so I think there's Mojave and then Catalina.
It goes back 2 or 3.
Mojave it started. I'm sorry, not super familiar with Mac operating systems. Maybe Gwen can chime in, but the files on demand and sync works on Mac as well. So you'll see files that are cloud only, and they'll be indicated by the little empty cloud icon. So fun thing you can do is if you already have this set up on your computer, right click on one of those files and go to properties. And when it says how big that file is, it will say 0 bytes because it's taking up no space on your computer whatsoever.
Yep. To use these tools the most effectively on a Mac, you need to be on 10.13 or higher. You'll have some problems if you're on 10.11, like me.
Gwen, it's time for an upgrade. All right, so those are the 3 major things I wanted to cover in collaboration. Those are some of the powerful pieces that we see people use, commenting, file syncing, the co-authoring, being able to not be locked out of a document. That's a really good reason to have files in the cloud. Number one, they're accessible from anywhere, but now they're enabled with extra collaboration features. So we're going to move into our last and final section. I'm kind of sad, but we're racing through this. We're powering through. We're making it.
Time to level up.
Yep, it's time to take your teaming to the next level, right? We're going to level up our teaming. Remember, Teams is one piece of the Office 365 system. And the Office 365 suite has lots of tools in it. And so Microsoft calls Teams the hub for team collaboration or the hub for teamwork. And that's because it integrates into all of these other pieces that are already available to us through our Office 365 subscription that the university has from Microsoft. So all of these other tools unlock more and more features and more capabilities. So all the things that we've showed you about Teams is really just the surface of it, which don't be overwhelmed by that. Teams is a, like I said before, an evergreen product. It's always changing, and it's also a really big. We learn every single time we do a training, every single time we play with it. We continue to learn about some of the things that it offers. And because of that, I'm going to zero in on 3 particular apps that are in the Office 365 suite that I think everyone will really like to see at least a little bit about. This won't be a deep dive, as Gwen said in the beginning, but we're just going to touch on what their capabilities are and what they might be able to do for you. So the first of those apps is Microsoft Forms. This is a web-based product that allows you to build exactly what it says, a form. This could be a survey. This could be a quiz. This could be for data intake. Maybe you have a business process that is a paper form. This would be a good way to turn that into a digital workflow where emails could be generated and approvals could happen. It's pretty powerful. It's also very easy to use. So Rachel provided me with some screenshots of a form that they're using for travel. So we have a sample example of one of the questions that's there. So somebody can log in to office.com. She can share them a link of a form. They can click on it and they'll be able to fill this form out. As they fill this form out, it's going to start collecting and kind of aggregating all those results. And it also puts all of those results into a Excel spreadsheet. So this is a really good way, like I said before, to do data intake. This Excel spreadsheet is going to be nicely formatted and human readable. It's not going to be a big, gigantic, mess of numbers. It'll be formatted and color coded, which is great. It's also live. So remember that co-authoring capability that we have now that our Office files are in the cloud? That applies to this as well. So as people are filling out the form, if your business office is using this process, they could have the spreadsheet open and be working in it and results be coming in live as people are filling it out, which that's pretty great. It also gives you a really nice summary at the end and automatically builds some really interesting charts with some metrics and key points of interest on it. So we have a demo form that we can share with all of you. Joe posted it in the general channel of the GBAS training team. So this will be a little bit of exposure for you. If you click on that link that he posted, you'll be able to see what a Microsoft form looks like. This is a simple one that just has one question with a few clickable answers on it. And Rachel, you had a really good story about your travel business process in Microsoft Forms.
Hi, everyone. So we had a project where we needed to, as a core office, a lot of times we need to communicate with the UF community. And we were needing to request some information regarding the travel processes. So I was able to go into Teams, and as a new user, I had never created a form. It was super simple. And basically I created this form, as you can see the little snippets that you were showing earlier. And we collected information across campus regarding the new initiative, and we weren't having a high response rate originally from just sending out an Excel. So the form was super user-friendly. It took people less than 5 minutes to fill out. We got a lot of great feedback about how user-friendly it was. And the best part was the responses were automatically compiled into an Excel workbook. Or you could also have the nice, pretty metrics, which I very much like. So, and then for the questions, it was easy to add a question and to switch around, move around the order, collaborate with someone else who was also taking the survey. And instead of having, hundreds of emails and attachments back and forth, I would then have to compile the data. This was an automatic collection, and it just generated a link that I could then send out in an email communication through a listserv. So it was super easy and user-friendly. And I think, our participants really appreciated it too, because it was so user-friendly.
Yeah, so I want to add something. The question that we posted for you all, you know, I'm a data girl and I actually really want to use that data. So I really hope you'll answer the survey and give us some feedback on that. So thank you. I love the graph too.
Thanks, Gwen. Yeah, this is an example of one of the summaries. This is the question that you're answering right now. And you can see these responses coming in the graph that it compiles. So one thing that I find very, very interesting is that we haven't even talked about Planner yet. And yet it's currently leading.
It's reading our minds.
in what people want to know about. There's a lot of task-oriented people out there right now, aren't there?
Do we have any slides for that?
Were we going to talk about that?
Maybe.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it. So, all right, that's pretty cool. I like to see stuff like this. Data, graphs, you know, cool looking charts, quick access to your information. It's all awesome. All right, so I guess now might be a good time to talk about Planner briefly. Planner is a project management tool. We'll call it Project Management Lite. So I don't want to offend any project management people out there who may be used to using Microsoft Project or something like that. This doesn't give you Gantt charts and effort estimations and things like that, but it does give you a really easily accessible tool that integrates right into Teams to manage a single project. So let's take a look and see what it looks like. So we actually have a demo plan in the GBAS team. If you click on the facilitators channel and go into the demo plan tab, you'll actually be able to see this right now if you'd like, instead of looking at screenshots. But the way this works is you create a project and all of your tasks are viewed on what's called a board. This board has tasks represented as cards. Your cards or your tasks can be organized into buckets. So here we have a bucket called FA website. Then we have GBAS training, and then trainings and fiscal onboarding. So this allows us a way to organize all of the tasks that my team is currently working on. So anything as it relates to FA website is going to go into the FA website bucket. You could really add some extra bits and pieces into a task. So we'll open up one and take a look at it. You can obviously assign a task to someone. So if you like to delegate and assign tasks, Emily's nodding up and down.
Nikki, do I delegate tasks? Do I assign tasks?
Very well. And very, very thoroughly too.
So you can choose the bucket that the task is going to go in. You can set the status of it, whether it's not been started yet, if it's in progress. You can assign a priority to it. You have a lot of granularity here with the different points that you can kind of specify on your task. When should it start? When should it be due? Obviously, you want to give your some information inside of it, so you have a notes section. You can add a checklist into it. So maybe there's 4 or 5 things that need to be done before this task is actually complete. You can embed a checklist down where it says add an item. You can embed a checklist into it. So let me try my laser pointer. So you can add an item here, and this will show up as a multi-point checklist. You can also add an attachment. So, and this is not, don't think email attachment. So email attachment actually generates a copy of a file, which is not what we want. Teams is all about the file living in one place, and we all go to that one place to collaborate on that file together. So you can add a file to a task, and it will just link right back to that file where it lives inside of your team. So this is a really good way, again, to make information readily available to people. Once you assign them this task, you want to enable them, empower them with as much data as they need to get going and to get this task completed. There's also a commenting section down here at the bottom of the task where you can kind of use this like a messaging system a little bit as it relates to this task. This is not a part of conversations in Teams. This is just a way to update the status of this task and say, there were 10 items on the checklist. I got through the first 4 of them and halfway through the 5th one, and I had to go to sleep. or whatever. So you can kind of give a status update of where you're at and allow the owners of this project to be able to kind of look at it and see what's going on. You have a lot of filtering capabilities. And again, remember, this is a theme throughout all of Teams, is we want you to be able to see what's relevant. We want you to be able to really dial down into what kind of data it is you want to see. So you could really, the labels, if you notice, let me go back 2 slides. If you notice here, some of these cards have little colored labels on them, cutely named after candy. Thank you, Nikki. So we have Peeps and Skittles and Hershey's. These could be finance and facilities and HR and, marketing and all kinds of different ideas you could use to label a task. This is a way to kind of coordinate, a certain group. Maybe the marketing team is responsible for something on the FA website, as well as fiscal onboarding and training. So you could put a task in each bucket, but assign the marketing label to it. And when you do that, that will enable you to then filter. So if the marketing team wants to look at this plan, they may not need to see what HR and facilities are doing. So they can click filter, go down here to where it says label. They can drop that down and choose the marketing label. And now their entire board will change to where they only see marketing related tasks that have been created on that board. There's a few different views inside of your plan, so you can get a chart view. This is also filterable, so that filter that I just showed you, this will also filter both charts and the schedule slide that I'm about to show you. So if I had filtered this to only show me things that are late, I will now only see all of the late tasks, and it will give me a summary of all of those late tasks. So I'll instantly know, hey, I've got 4 late tasks, and here's what they are, and here's who they're assigned to. So here's who I need to follow up with. Lots of good metrics, a really quick dashboard to be able to get an idea of, the overall progress of your plan. And you also have a schedule. So if you have assigned start and completion dates inside of your task, those will be represented on a calendar here.
So the more data you put into a task, the more opportunity to see that task through the different sections in the plan.
Yep. Any good Q&A on Planner yet? I mean, that graph was pretty high on Planner. Let's take another look at it.
So I was going to jump in really quick and say one of the reasons I love Planner is it really applies a lot for this current remote environment. Our team was using it before because we have interns with different class schedules that might never work at the same shift with each other a whole semester, but they're collaborating on projects. And it's such a good way to stay connected and stay on the same page with where you're at with a project. And as a manager, especially now that there are these quarterly check-ins, I really like it because you can see completed tasks on there. And we all do so much stuff that it's really nice at any time to be able to pull that up. And I'm like Gwen, I love the data. And so you can see the data piece of it. You can see who's completed what tasks, who might have capacity, and really get that kind of just show off what your team's doing. So I like that record that you get as part of it. It's a very cool feature. I really recommend playing around with it. Almost everything in this, the more you play around with it, just the more features you're going to find out.
And to just add to that too, on top of records, you can also be really future forward too. And Emily posts a lot of projects that are due in the future that once we're done with the current project we're working on, we can go to Planner and see what's available and claim it as a new project that we want to get started on. And that's always really fun to get to add, other interns that I don't get to see every day, and we can collaborate on the same project.
That's awesome. I would like everybody to know that you can have multiple plans per team too. So you can have multiple plans per channel. Remember the tabs? You can add another tab, and it will ask you when you select Planner, do you want to use an existing plan or create a new one? So you can have, I don't even know, what, 250? Well, it's a lot. Almost as many plans as Emily can handle. So Lots of planning.
That's what you think.
Oh boy.
So we've seen this used in like research labs with graduate students. Faculty will put tasks out there to be completed. Students will come in during the week. They'll grab a task, start working on it. They'll use the commenting system to let the other students know how far along they got. And other students will come in through the week and pick that up and finish the work. You can also create a plan that's really just for yourself, maybe in a team for yourself, and just manage the work that you do and catalog it, during the week. During the year, you can kind of go back and have an entire list of the major work that you did. And you can actually export this out into an Excel spreadsheet and have a list that you could, give to your manager or something like that.
Yep, Planner is always a big hit when we show off the Office 365 suite. And every time we do this, we always say, you know what, we should just show Planner first. And everybody will be in, and then we'll show them everything else. So Planner, and we actually have said before talking with each other that we feel kind of guilty because there was this kind of void in service offering that we didn't realize so many people desired. We didn't know there was such a need for this project management type capability.
And it's a pretty big step up to go into the full Microsoft project tool. And that costs money also on top of it. And this is included. So this is a really kind of great little step into that world, very accessible.
And speaking of accessibility, one of the things that's great about this too is everyone already has access to this with their Gator link. Mm-hmm. You don't need to go sign up for a third-party tool, have people generate user accounts that are not tied to the university, and data outside of the university, those types of things, agree to some sort of end user agreement that nobody ever reads, those types of things. So this is a tool that's already built into an ecosystem that everyone already has access to, and there's no account sign up required. So that will get your plan running quicker because everyone already has it. So.
And anyone that has sat in on any training the controller's office has done, we always like to say, don't use shadow systems, use what the university has. So obviously we really support this a lot. As they said, fiscally responsible earlier, and we didn't even tell them to say that. They said it all on their own.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next leg of our level up in your teaming. So we had 3 products. We talked about Forms. Now we're talking about Planner. Now we're going to show you a little bit about Stream. And Stream is actually doing a lot of work behind the scenes. You may not even know it when it's happening. But Stream is a video hosting platform. And it's also responsible for doing all of the recordings when you meet inside of Teams. So right now we're using Zoom and we're recording. When you meet in Teams and have meetings in Teams, whether it be a chat or a planned meeting, a scheduled meeting through Outlook, or if you have a cloud mailbox, you schedule the meeting directly inside of Teams. You can record those meetings. And when you record those meetings, Microsoft Stream is what's actually doing the heavy lifting in the background. And it's all cloud-based. It doesn't consume any space on your hard drive. The meeting will actually be recorded on the cloud side. And we might as well just say that the storage is more or less unlimited. There is no need to ever go back and clean up your old recording and pull it down because we're using too much space. If you're familiar with how large a gigabyte is, most laptops have a 256 gigabyte hard drive, or maybe if you splurged, you got the 512 gigabyte hard drive. A terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes, and a petabyte is 1,000 terabytes. And we have almost 1 petabyte of storage capacity in Microsoft Stream. So we might as well say it's unlimited because these are highly compressed videos. We're never gonna hit that. So let's take a look at it. If you go to office.com, this is a screenshot of office.com, and I clicked on the Stream app. There's actually some really helpful videos that are built right into the website. So first you'll have videos on how to upload, create live events, finding content, and the concept of channels and groups as it relates to Stream. So don't get confused with a Teams channel, but think more like YouTube. YouTube has channels. So Stream does too. You can create a channel, you can upload video content into it. So here's all of our IT training videos. We're gonna put them in the IT training channel so that people can go back and look at them. And actually this is something that Joe and I do in practice. We'll show you that here in a moment.
And you mentioned YouTube. This is, sometimes we call this kind of a corporate YouTube. So it automatically is locked down just to our university accounts. And then beyond that, you have the capability of locking it down to groups of people. So if you do have a team and you've got content you're producing and you want it to remain just with that Microsoft team, that group of people, it's very easy to also create a channel in Stream that's locked down to the same group of people and only they can view those videos.
Yep. An example of that in a way that you could organize them would be this screenshot here. This is a team that Joe and I run, and we do Teams training in it. And we have a meeting every single month on the first Tuesday of the month. We call it Teams Tuesday. Well, we want all of our members, if they missed a meeting, to be able to go back and view that meeting. So leveraging a tab inside of a channel in our team, we created a Stream tab, tied it to the Stream channel where we have uploaded all of our videos. And now right inside of Teams, you can just click this tab and see all of the meetings that we ever had. Now click on one of those meetings and you'll be able to view it, and it will play right inside of Teams. Because remember, we don't want you to have to be kicked out into multiple applications and sent all over the place. We want to keep you inside of one app to streamline your experience. So that video will play right inside of the Teams application. It will also automatically generate transcription of your meeting. So you may have to do a little bit of work to tell it, you know, hey, this was a meeting in Spanish, or this meeting was in English. You have to tell it the language to transcribe into, and it will automatically do that for you. And one of the really, really powerful things about this is once I click on one of these videos, those transcriptions actually become searchable. So I will be able to, let me zoom in on this piece here. I'll actually be able to type in a search term in the search box, and it will show me every point in time where I said that word verbally, or someone in the meeting said that word verbally. So if you missed a meeting and you're responsible for hurricane prep, you can just go back to the meeting, type in the word hurricane, and see every single point where that subject was talked about. When you click on it, you'll actually be taken directly to that part of the video where that word was said, and it would be available to you in the closed captions. So Joe, you have a really cool life hack, we'll call it, about how to use this to your advantage.
Basically a way to take the physical world and take it into the digital world. We kind of joke about is, say you've got a committee, you know, you have a weekly meeting and you want to take some notes. Maybe you've got action items you want to track. Something you could do is record that meeting, have it in Teams, record that meeting. And during that meeting, when you come up with something that you've decided that committee has to do or somebody has to do it, you can verbally say something like, you could say action item, and you assume that that's going to be something you can search on. But you could also pick a word that, I don't know, say pickle or pineapple or something like that, that you don't often say in your conversation. And we can go back to the transcript, search on that word. And if you say pickle, next week, Andrew is going to do the recipe for this project. You'll have the ability to quickly get to that action item, find it, and you can basically cut and paste it right out of the transcript, because you can pull that down, or you can just go in and record it inside the video and pull it down and write it out someplace if you want to.
Yeah, that's a really cool trick to give your action items a code word, more or less, and then search for that code word.
If you've got 5 pickles for that meeting, you've got a lot of work to do.
Yep. Emily assigned everybody 5 pickles. Lots of assigning. So the last thing that we would like to leave you with is, again, don't be overwhelmed with this platform. This is going on a 3-hour training, and Joe and I have been doing Teams training every single month for the last 10 or 11 months. And we are still working on sharing everything that this platform is capable of doing. So don't walk into this, you know, being frustrated that something's not working right, or you would like to achieve a certain goal and it's not, you know, super easy to get. Start with the easy things like chatting and communication, and give somebody a video call. Those are the things that you can get running with right away. We would also like to invite everyone to join our knowledge network that we have in IFAS. We are opening this up to anybody in the university that would like to be a part of it. The demo team that I showed you, the IFAS Jurassic County team, that is available to anyone. And like I said earlier, we do monthly Teams trainings. That screenshot was the recordings that we've done. There's also a join code there in blue that you can use if you would like to join that team, and little animations that will show you how to enter that join code, whether you're using the Microsoft Teams app or you're using it on your mobile phone. We'd love it to see people there. We've over the last 10 months, we have accumulated a little more than 400 people have volunteered to be honorary citizens of Jurassic County. I told Gwen I was pretty jealous because it took us like 10 months to do it, and it took her about 10 minutes. So we a little envious, but you know what? We're all about this product, and we're all about empowering people and making their lives easier. And this is part of how we want to continue to spread the word and keep the learning going. Having a growth mindset when it comes to this ecosystem is very important.
And the second link on there is a link that we've opened up also to campus that is a site you can come and get Teams training. There's a short video that's been done, like 20 minutes, kind of maybe a refresher a bit of this. And then there's links to other deeper dives into Teams if you want to go to it. Always remember that there is a really good help built into Teams. You can use the /help, or you're going to find help down in the lower left corner. You're going to find some short videos built into Teams. Those are really just a great place. You get stuck, try there. Really easy to do it, again, right inside of Teams.
Mm-hmm. And we always recommend to create your own team. Create a team just for yourself. So remember the process on creating a team. Maybe even add a friend, you know, and that gives you a place to do whatever you want, you know, upload a bunch of files and then wreck them, delete them, and then figure out how to get them back. Post a bunch of messages and then delete those messages and clean them up. You know, it really gives you your own little place to learn. Every single person can do this because anybody can create a team. Highly recommend doing that. One of the best ways to learn is by doing.
And as an owner, if you kind of don't need that team anymore, you can go delete it.
Yep.
All right. Well,
I want to say, sorry, Gwen, just really fast. I also want to say that Microsoft Teams, if you search Microsoft Teams training, they have actually a website with a bunch of training videos that are kind of quick and bite-sized that I've found helpful when I know that Teams can do something. In fact, I know Joe's probably told me how Teams can do something, but I can't quite remember it. And I really want to second what they said about just deleting things is really easy and just playing around. And most of the stuff that we have done has been a result of just playing around and figuring it out and learning from it. And so it is really easy to do that.
Yep. So I want to thank Joe and Dwayne also for opening their community to us. I did warn them that, you know, we probably will double the size of their community. But I love that we're working smart and utilizing the resources that we have. So that's really awesome. I am also in that group. So I hope you guys will join them as well. It's a great way to keep us really working as a community of practice together and sharing all of the great things that we learn. So going forward, before you leave today, you know very much that I want your input and feedback. This is the first time we've ever done this kind of training with GBAS, and we would like to do a virtual series. So not only do I need topics that you guys really need now, especially in this new work environment, but I also would like to get some really targeted feedback on how we did today. This was our first time, so I know that we'll make improvements and we'll get better at this through time. So I posted the survey link in the general channel, and it is a Qualtrics survey, just like you always take for me. If you can't complete it now, if you would complete it, before midday tomorrow, I really like to look at the data and share it right away. We would really appreciate that. I also just want to thank everyone for coming. And I really want to give a huge shout out to Emily. She has been rocking those answers, as well as Nikki, Janelle, and Rachel. We really couldn't have done this without you. We have been frantically all typing away to answer your questions, along with Philip. And then please, I know you guys can't hear it, but please give a huge round of applause for Joe and Dwayne. So yay. We'll stay on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll stay on. They don't even get their gifts yet because I can't go see them. So we'll make sure that they get their GBAS gifts and that they don't forget about us. And hopefully you'll see them again on another training. So if you have any final questions, we're going to hang around either in the Zoom call for about 5 minutes or monitor the channels just a little bit. But thank you again, and have a great evening.